some hair.
I have.
Starting to look like one of our roosters.
You are.
There's so yeah, rooster over there went off, and there's literally a chicken running off the porch now. So, hi everybody. For the preemptive question of who that lady? This is my wife, Hami.
You're gonna get asked again.
Yeah. I got this rooster here. I got this long gray beard hair right here, like half a mile long. What's up, Lone Star Living? Pilgrim Preppa. Not one more inch is here. Not one more inch. What's up, Paladin One? Corey Suttles. Billy Hill. What's up, Billy Hill? If you need some high quality redneck rappery, Billy Hill is your guy. Also, if you have a brain inside of your dome and you don't want bullets to hit it, Billy Hill's got you covered. You can find him on Instagram. And oh, I got it. That thing's a mile long. It really is. So here's part of it. Look at this. Look at it, people. South Texas, what's up, Brandon? Hey, y'all stay safe down there in South Texas. That's one of the reasons that Uvalde hit me hard for a lot of reasons, but I've done a lot of work in South Texas. What's up, Ghost? Shalom. And I know a lot of those little communities and neighborhoods down there. I've worked in them, I've driven through them. You see all those giant fan things down there? I didn't put all of them up, but I was instrumental in the installation of a bunch of them. What's the cigar tonight? It's a Diesel Rage, and I'm doing my best to not rage. So, in fact, let's get some of Grandpa's cough medicine here.
We're going to do this.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To the Bear Nation. Bryan College Station, roger that. Someone said, I see the brains of the outfit is here. Yeah, we were talking about this on Patreon a couple weeks ago. Somebody asked the question. Essentially the question was, all right, Bear, you guys seem to have it going on. How smart are you? Can the average person do what y'all do? And the answer to that is yes, absolutely. And that's what we try and do, is encourage y'all to show you what we're doing, how we're doing it. We explain a lot on the philosophy of why we're doing what we're doing, whether that's the Bible videos or the daily intel briefs, and then the mountain of content that's on Patreon regarding the homestead and the gardens and the livestock and just the life talks and everything that's there. And the answer to that question is, yeah, you don't have to be the sharpest tool in the tool shed in order to do what we're doing. And I say all that to say this. I said in that video, my wife's IQ is substantially higher than mine is. Like 45 points higher than mine is. And I'm not a dummy. Crazy, I'm not a dummy. Like, I know 2 + 2 is 17. So, you know, I've got it going on up top. Shalom, Hokey Storm Chaser. What's up, brother? Don't be comparing us with average people. We are peculiar people. Yes, sir. We are peculiar people. 100% peculiarity going on over here. So
I'm having a margarita that has a little bit of like strawberry margarita stuff in it.
Susan Bates says she really enjoys your garden videos on Patreon. That's awesome.
Very much. Lots to do still. Not even there yet. Although we did get blueberries planted.
We did. We planted 7 blueberry bushes and an apple tree today. Somebody said, Alta Prep said your potato towers, they require more watering than in the ground. Yep, that is a trade-off there. They've also settled significantly. They're about 60% as high as they were when we first installed them. So
it's new for us. We'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, it's a new methodology. We're experimenting,
Right.
which is something we constantly do because we don't know everything either, you know? I certainly don't know everything, and I tell people most of what I do know, I know what works because I've tried all the things that don't work. Nino Farmstead, we love you back. And Shalom, Brother Dudley. Billy Hill says, y'all put me on the peanut butter whiskey. My Thursdays are no longer thirsty. Roger that. I just had some screwball for the first time in a long time the other day. and I didn't realize how much I missed it. So
Well, that was all you drank for like a year.
yeah, it was. It was good.
It was a long time.
You know, all things in moderation, including moderation occasionally. So, my Palmetto Paratrooper, what's up, brother? My cousin works for Screwball. Well, if he's in the shipping and receiving department, he might need to lose a pallet or two. Shoot me a text, and I'll let you know where to send it. Can you add more layers to the potato towers now, or will that mess it up? I honestly don't know. I've had that thought myself. We need to consult Moof,
Yeah.
New Hope Farmstead, and ask her, what is moderation? Moderation is what the people with the blue wrenches do when people get out of line in the chat. That's what moderation is. Shalom, Andy Barnes. What's up, brother? You know, Andy, it's been a long time. You get a blue wrench, brother. Special
We
Operations
were just
Equipment.
talking about you and Debbie the other night.
And John at SOE is here. What's up, brother? We will actually be at SOE headquarters in Camden, Tennessee, the weekend of the 11th and the 12th for the Self-reliance Expo. And so if you're going to be in that neighborhood, or you want to be in that neighborhood, Camden, Tennessee, kind of like one of the meccas in the country of tactical badassery. You've got Tactical Responses there. You've got SOE Tactical is there. There's going to be a bunch of speakers there. Jack Spirko, I believe, is going to be there. And actually, I'll pull it up on my telefono. The Self-Reliance Festival, selfreliancefestival.com. Tickets are still available. They're $60 online or $75 at the gate. Let's see. John Willis with SOE Tactical. Dr. Ken Berry from the Proper Human Diet. Jack Spirko with the Survival Podcast. And Nicole Sauce with Living Free in Tennessee. And Nicole Sauce is doing underground networking. Billy Bond is doing chicken tractors and steroids. Jack Spirko is talking about build your empire while there's crumbles. John Willis is doing justice and entrepreneurship in a time of incompetence. These are all talks that are being given. I'll be giving a talk, a 45-minute talk Sunday afternoon on community, the importance of community, how to build it, and what roles within communities look like. Dr. Ken Berry on the Proper Human Diet. Josh and Thomas Carpenter, Confessions of a Homesteader Wannabe. Financial Self-Reliance with Gabby Reed. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. Tactical Training for Homestead Defense with Joey Glover and Dana McClendon. So, yeah, there's going to be a butchering workshop. There's lots of stuff going on. So that's selfreliancefestival.com. We'll be there. I earn no money by telling you that. I earn no money by going, but it's going to be a good time. I'm going to get to hang out with some of our people and interact with y'all. It should be a good time. We're having a mini vacay. This is going to be a blast. I'm hoping to swing back through the Mayfield, Kentucky area while we're there so that I can go back and survey the storm damage. It's now in the recovery phase. When Grindstone deployed for that storm, that series of storms, they were in the relief phase, and we did our relief portion, and now I want to go put eyes back on it and see what's going on, because we've stayed in touch with a bunch of people out there, and I know there's a huge crunch for contractors right now. The average contractor wait time is 6 to 12 months currently for rebuilding, and I just want to go scout it and see if there's opportunities there for Grindstone, which is our construction ministry, if there's opportunities for us to plug in. I'm also, and I know this from working storms previously, there's like not a single hotel room within 50 miles of that place right now, so the logistics will be a concern, but the Fair Dealing Olive Fire Department may let us take over again. They may not. We'll see what happens. So.
I saw Lauren. That was awesome. So Luke got like a literal crap ton of plants put in the ground today.
That's awesome.
A ton. And I'm still working on my blueberries and apple tree.
Mm-hmm. Blue Hackle Mafia, what's going on? Yeah, and so I think that's worth talking about. You know, Rome was not built in a day, and it didn't fall in a day either. So, you know, most people point to 476 AD as the year that Rome fell, but there was a long, slow decline leading up to that point, and basically they ran out of the ability to perpetuate their will via military force to export the Romanitas throughout their empire, and they got into a bunch of border skirmishes, and they couldn't control their border areas, and yada yada yada. Stuff got bad for them. But using the analogy of Rome not being built in a day, like neither is a homestead built in a day. We've been here for 4 years, a little over 4 years, and man, we're still learning, and there's still 1,000 things that we need to do, and 1,000 things we need to get better at, and you just don't let perfect be the enemy of good enough, you know.
Keep
so
going.
Between the lines tells me we all fell into, well, you know, that's the problem with, there's many problems with our current political system, but if you can make 51% of the country into felons or more with the swipe of a pen, I don't think your authority is legitimate. And I'll just say that. I really don't want to delve too deeply into that right now. Typically what we do is Q&A when we do these live streams, and the title is not facetious. I'm honestly curious as to, like, how can we serve you this evening? What do you want to know? How can we help you? How can we answer questions that you may have so that you can, wherever you are in your preparedness journey, that you can be better than you are now? Because again, we don't know everything, but gosh dang, we made a ton of mistakes that we've learned from getting from where we are to where we are now, or where we were to where we are now.
Very true.
Super true. As Bob would say, that's super real.
Yeah,
Super real. And then Dudley would go, it's a must. So, yeah, of course. So, there's a bug on my leg.
I know. So we are also getting attacked by bugs.
Yeah,
There's
that's a real
keep
deal.
flying. So, and there is a fan going because we're trying to just like throw them away. But it's
What's up, Chad? Somebody said, what part of Oklahoma has the least tornadoes? So Central Oklahoma has the most tornadoes, as per my understanding. Eastern and Western Oklahoma, not so much. I would defer to Okie Storm Chaser's expertise on this, because his name is literally Okie Storm Chaser. He's a storm chaser in Oklahoma. That's what he does. Frank Chupinka, what's up, Frank the Tank?
You can look at like 100-year-old tornado maps, just like flood maps, like that information's out there, because that's something that concerned me a lot with moving to Oklahoma, because I knew it as like Tornado Alley, and I did not want to be destroyed, have high probability of being destroyed by a tornado. So that was something I researched a lot, and
Thank you, GB.
it went into like major consideration for the property that we got.
Yep. And we're in Eastern Oklahoma.
Yeah.
So, these gnats, bro. This is gonna be a fun evening.
I know. We're gonna be like,
I've got bug spray. I've got the
Eating.
fan going.
I know.
They're just like, they're not having it.
no.
What's up, Dr. Trevor Wilkins? So Frank said, what's the best feed to stockpile for sheep for winter? So in the summer here, stockpiling any type of bagged feed is an issue. What's up, Danny Jackson? I appreciate you. Direct this to Grindstone. Will do. Thank you, brother. In the summer, we can't stack feed for more than 4 to 6 weeks. Hey, what's up, Roger Rabbit? Whole shalom, brother. I hope you're doing all right. In the summer, it gets so hot and humid here that the feed will mold inside of the bag. So you can't really hold more than a month's worth of feed, which is what I've learned. However, in the fall and the winter and the spring, it definitely stays cool enough that you can stack pallets of that stuff if you want to. Of course, there's a cost associated with that, but really, hay is what's up as far as for stockpiling stuff. In fact, we've got another 100 bales. Dudley just picked up another 100 bales for the homestead today from our hay guy. And anecdotal data, 2 years ago, a bale of hay, decent quality cow hay, 60-pound bale, cost me $3. And then they went to $5. And the last load of hay we got was $7 a bale. And we just got a text from our hay guy last week who was like, yo, just want to give you guys a heads up. This cutting right now is $7 a bale, so get as much as you want now, because after that it could go to $10 to $12 a bale. So over the last 2 years, that's a 400% increase in the cost of hay here. And then also, our sheep, we have Katahdin sheep, which is specifically bred for meat, and and they're not woolly, they're hair sheep, so they lose their hair. You know, they get a winter coat, and then in the spring their hair falls out, and they get nice and svelte looking. But they're really good browsers, and so they don't just graze, they don't just eat grass, but they eat weeds, they eat small trees, they eat bushes, they eat poison ivy, they eat blackberry bushes, they eat, if it's green and they can reach it with their mouth, they will eat it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good question for you. Matt Connor said, how big of a game changer was having a freeze dryer opposed to just canning and dehydrating?
So, pretty big. Like, I've put up a lot more freeze-dried food than I did canning and dehydrating. And I think dehydrating is more similar because it's just kind of like that, you set it and forget it. And so it's not as like hands-on, having to watch it, time-consuming as canning is. And so yes, it's definitely stepped up the prepper game.
The hillbilly homesteader said, do the sheep try and escape a lot? No, they're not like goats, which is super cool.
Yeah.
In fact, I had a sheep one time jump over the 4-foot field fence, and it got scared, and they were all running, and it just jumped over the fence, and it was outside the fence, and it was standing there like, oh snap, I'm outside of the fence. And then I realized, oh snap, you're outside of the fence. And I was like, hey, get back in there. And it was like, crap, and it turned around and ran and jumped back over the fence and got back inside of the pen.
They want to be with their buddies,
with the rest of his buddies. So unlike goats, we've had goats in the same pen that will jump right over the fence or figure out how to climb over the fence, and then they'll lay down right on the outside of the fence.
They like to get out just to get out. Like, they don't like being contained.
Shalom, Sister Dudley. Ugh, goats. Yes, exactly. So the sheep are much more docile. They're easier to work than goats for sure. They taste better than goats do for sure. What we have not done is ever milk our sheep.
Yeah.
But that's because they've always got babies on them. When they're in milk, it's because they've got babies on them. So
somebody asked, protein-wise, what's freeze-dried better, raw or cooked? And it depends on the protein. Like, I prefer cooked chicken to raw chicken, but I prefer raw beef to cooked beef.
I like my chicken medium rare.
So it very much that, like, when you freeze dry, a good practice to do is to like save some and go ahead and like reconstitute it, because reconstituting it immediately is not going to be any different than reconstituting it 20 years from now. So go ahead and reconstitute just a little bit and try it and see like how you want to do it and what tastes better, because like raw eggs generally taste better than cooked eggs.
There's a bunch of good questions going.
Okay.
Simply Hope said, do you have a tick issue? How do you treat for that? So to give you an idea, yesterday, Dudley and I filmed an 8-part series on the March algorithm and tactical combat casualty care for y'all, which will be coming out in 8 episodes for free here on YouTube. And in one video, there was a 15-minute-ish video, I pulled 4 Lone Star ticks off of me during the video. So how do you treat for that? Well, you treat yourself with 100% DEET, and you have chickens and maybe guinea hens to eat the ticks. And a lot of people say, hey, guinea hens do a great job eradicating ticks. I can't stand guinea hens personally, but I found no appreciable difference in the tick population impact between guinea hens and free-range chickens. So, let's see. Do you grow wheat? Nope, I do not. Everybody else in Oklahoma does, though. Let's see. There are some others in here I wanted to hit, but they go by so fast. What's up, Sarah? Sheep taste much better. Yes, they do, Chad. Iridium Group, what's up, bro? If you're north of the imaginary line in the snow up there in Canada, please check out the Iridium Group. If you need kits and product and training, we sell kits in Canada, first aid kits, but you may be better served by going to the Iridium Group because of the cost of shipping. And also they're doing really good work, and support a brother that's doing good work. He's doing good work, and in fact, we're talking on the back end about getting together for a live stream so we can just talk about life in Canada and life in America and stop the bleed, TCCC, tactical combat casualty care, that type of stuff. Refuge Medical confuses everyone stumbling in for medical marijuana. Yes, that's why we got the sign. What does the sign say?
Go away, we don't sell weed.
Yeah. Canine kits, Maximus Prepper. A couple of people have asked about canine kits. I believe they're back in stock right now. So would you pull up refugemedical.com and see if the canine kits are in stock, please? Do you have ticks all year round? No. Really, in the spring and the summer, they're pretty bad. And then in the fall, they start to die off. Not an issue in the winter. It does get cold enough here in the winter to make them go dormant or kill them off. Let's see.
Yeah, canines are back in stock. A lot of stuff is back in stock. Like, we've been getting stuff. Finally.
Shlomo's our geek. Yes, we are. Guys, I've said it and I mean it, man. We have two and a half people. It's their full-time job. So 2 full-timers and a part-timer right now, just sourcing components. And the business model was not built around having 2.5 full-time positions today, that we could just constantly have to search for product.
Yeah.
But that's what it takes in today's industry to be able to do that. Maximus Prepper, bless you. I appreciate that. I want to order some canine kits with local LE. Awesome. Hey, use promo code BearNation, get free shipping on that. What's up, QRF? Funny, I say people should come buy their complete kit from you. I'm a fan of what y'all are doing. Thanks to the Iridium Group. Hey, I appreciate you, bro. I really do. I know you were doing a pre-order on cats, and I want to be able to help you because you're helping other people, and that's really important to us. I firmly believe that Refuge Medical produces the best first aid kits on the planet. And I saw your video on Instagram as to why you sell components rather than kits because of the legalities in Canada. And believe me, we're well aware of that because we sell and ship to Canada. And so if you're in Canada, check out the Iridium Group. And if they don't have what you need, or if they can't source what you need, come see us. And if you need training and you're in Canada, see the Iridium Group. Like, just make contact with good people, build relationships with good people. That's what it's all about, because at the end of the day, it's a value exchange. If I'm not helping you solve your problems, there's no good reason for you to spend money with me, right? So a business solves problems first, and the more problems you solve, the more people you help, the more revenue you generate. But if you start a business like 99% of the people do, you start a business that is designed around generating revenue only, not with the idea of providing value, would probably be bankrupt within 12 months because it's unsustainable. Privet from Ukraine, Shalom from Oklahoma. Stephen Louchery said, any kits for pets? So we have the canine kits at refugemedical.com, and then the adventure kit makes a really good Homestead kit as well. We've actually used our adventure style kits that I built before we offered the adventure kit, used them quite a bit for our livestock. So true. We have one kit that's basically become like the sheep kit. So I've been buying medical supplies left and right. Well, bless you. And by the way, your name is always hard to say. Fluster Cluck Farms. I always want to say the other way around. Thoughts on cost-effective water sanitation? what volume. And you see this chicken up there on that?
Sure.
Hey, while you're over there, would you grab me any stick out of that humidor, please? Got my Bear Fact 2.0 coming soon. I appreciate you. I don't have every kit Refuge makes, but I'm working on it. Thanks, Stay Survive. The Adventure Kit is awesome. I need one. Hey, you get you talk to your hubby about that. We'll figure that out. What percentage of your food will you produce this year? Not as much as I'd like to.
No.
Maybe, let's ballpark it. Between the livestock and the garden, maybe 20%. And obviously the goal is to do way better than that. Hey, what's up, Ken? Shalom, brother. Obviously the goal is to do way better than that, but that's just where we're at right now. Real talk. Tomahawk. I have a Christian friend who wants another tattoo, but I don't know how to explain Leviticus 19:28 with love and respect. I would say think before you ink, and will this glorify God? Is this a sin? Okay, well, good question. And if you're not particularly into... what's up, the luxurious bastard? I've been rubbing your luxurious bastard beard grease into my beard the last few days, and I appreciate you, bro. So sin, biblically speaking, is defined in the New Testament in 1 John chapter 3, verse 4. Sin is lawlessness. And so that would mean transgression of the law is sin. Okay? And so if you go to Leviticus 19, which the entire reason Leviticus 19 was written, that Torah portion, is the whole idea is to be set apart, which is said in Leviticus 19 verse 2, be set apart as I am set apart, right? So, everybody turn with me in your Bible. Leviticus 19. Shabba-dabba-dabba-dabba-doo. Let's see. Hold on. Where'd you go? There you are. 19:28. Do not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor put tattoo marks on you. I am Yahuwah. I am the Lord your God. Now, this is in the midst of the Kedoshim Torah portion, and Kedoshim means to be set apart, right? So that's the whole thing. It starts with Leviticus 19 verse 1. Speak to all the congregation of the children of Israel and say to them, be set apart, for I, Yahuwah, your Elohim, am set apart. And so the idea here is these instructions are, how do you differentiate yourself from the nations? Okay? And so that's what that whole Torah portion, Leviticus 19, is about, is how do you separate yourself from the nations? And the real question would be to your Christian friend, what identity does he have in his relationship with the Father, and how much is he trying to set himself apart from the heathens? And again, in love, you might approach it with that question of like, okay, you're a believer, you believe in God, you believe you're covered by the blood of the Son. What are you doing in your daily life to set yourself apart from all these other non-believers? Different denominations have different interpretations. I'm non-denominational in the best way possible, in my opinion. I read the book and I do what it says. Is it voting a sin? Well, I think that depends on who you're voting for. But again, Leviticus 19, be set apart as I am set apart. So, and remember, we're commanded to fear nothing but Yahuwah, our Elohim, the Lord our God. And so, I don't cede any authority to man that is not authority that is righteously executed. Okay, so the laws of God come first, and laws of men that transgress the laws of God are not laws to me, if that makes sense. My identity is in the Father through the Son. It is not in what political party I support. It's not in which old white man wrote what words on a piece of paper. It's none of that. And I think we can all, to a greater or lesser extent, acknowledge that the world's going to hell in a handbasket anyway. And so I want to whore with Babylon as little as I can. I want to starve the beast. I don't want to play in the beast system. I don't want to be a part of that. It's just not worth it, even from just simply a quality of life standpoint. I would rather hang out with my wife with a pickaxe and a shovel and dig holes for blueberries than worry about. I mean, you've seen the rash of legislation that's coming in the last 24, 48 hours. I'm well aware of it. I know that it's going on. I stay abreast of as much intelligence as I can. I'm not losing my crap about it. I'm not all bent out of shape about it, because what they're going to do is what they're going to do. And my life will change 0%, regardless of how many crusty old billionaire men who got rich serving their country, air quote, write their names on that piece of paper. We will continue doing what we do, and praise the Most High. We live in a free state where it's a state felony to enforce federal gun laws in this country. Any infringement on the Second Amendment in the state of Oklahoma is a state felony. If you enforce it, whether you are a state law enforcement officer or you're a federal officer operating in the state of Oklahoma, that's a state felony. So that's pretty cool. And actually, Rex did a really good video on this, two-parter. The first part's on YouTube, the second part's on Patreon, called "Who is Your Tyrant?" And he was talking about the law of proximity. And the closer something is to you, the more it actually affects you. And so, to that end, your governor is more important than your president, your mayor's more important than your governor, and your community's more important than your mayor, and your family's more important than your community. So, proximity, right? Super important. He did a really good job at that. Thanks for the pregnancy bucket. Got a kid on the way, so it's a good peace of mind. Hey, I appreciate that. Thanks for buying it, Sea Scrolls. We've got a toddler with a superficial injury to the right middle finger. Band-Aid is being applied as my oldest throws my books and my Bible on the floor in complete disrespect. Now she's trashing my Ranger handbook. What is wrong with you, child? Now she's being attacked by a 120-pound livestock guardian dog. Good times. So if you're new here, ask questions in all caps, please. That will help me see them. And that doesn't guarantee that I'm gonna answer your questions. It just gives it a higher likelihood that I'll actually see them. And I may see them and may not want to answer them. So if you've asked the same question 3 or 4 times and I haven't answered it, I probably don't want to answer it. And please observe the prime directive in the chat here. We've got 2 prime directives from Messiah. The first is love the Lord your God with everything you've got. Your heart, your mind, your soul, your strength, all of it. The second is love your neighbor as yourself. So don't be jerks to each other in the chat. Please don't be a jerk to me. I'll do my best not to be a jerk to you. And if we can all observe that to the best of our broken ability, everything should be hunky-dory. Are y'all Holy Spirit filled? I believe so. John chapter 16. And the Ruach, the Helper, the Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit shall come and shall convict you concerning sin and righteousness and judgment. And then, of course, Paul likes to pine on about the gifts of the Spirit, so forth and so on. Shalom, VitCast. What's going on, brother? Do y'all have an issue with pests eating in-ground berry plantings? How do you deal with that, if so? Haven't had an issue with the berries. We did have squash bugs that murdered our cucumbers, and that was a little rough. Hey, what's up, tribesman? Shalom, brother. So.
But no, I've had my chickens eating my berry plants, but no bugs, just chickens.
Yes. Correct. I've been picking the blueberries off the blueberry bushes. And the cows are over there. They decided to climb on top of the brush pile. I don't know if y'all can see this big brush pile right here, but they were up on top of this brush pile eating
I'm really glad.
Something. So that was fun. Received my ARC kit a few days ago. What an awesome kit. Thank you, Titanium Legs. That was developed with massive input from our brother Twitch, the Shield Bearer of Faith. He's also our head instructor currently at refugetraining.com. So we had instructor Eric, who has been instrumental in establishing refuge training, and he still works in an advisory role with us, helps us develop curriculum, so forth and so on. But he's got a couple of other things going on right now that are pretty high profile. And so Twitch has done an excellent job taking over as head instructor at refuge training. So we've been a prepper for about 3 years now, been a subscriber for about 2 years, been saving the whole time to be able to move our land out into the Ozarks. RJ Brown, that's awesome, but I don't think that's a question, brother. I don't see the question in there.
Me neither. I saw a question, but I don't see a question.
Thanks for all the awesome videos. Love what you do. Keep spreading the good word. Awareness 808 will do. Was that Awareness Bob? No, it's Awareness 808. Awesome. Thoughts on putting food sealed in Mylar bags, cleaned non-food grade buckets. So if you're using Mylar, you don't need a food grade bucket.
Right. Okay. You have a layer of protection.
Yeah, it's not touching the bucket, so whether or not the bucket is food grade doesn't matter. If you're putting it straight into a bucket rather than using Mylar, then it does need to be food grade. And if you're going to do that, still put your oxygen absorbers in there and use a good lid with a good O-ring seal in it and hammer the lid on so that you can remove as much oxygen as possible. So I'm on the Bear Nation Discord server now. How did I not know this existed? Well, it's really a gift to the patrons. So, but Palmetto, I believe you're on Patreon as well. So
every Thursday.
I just I don't do a great job at promoting it. Badger should probably rebuke me on that because Badger's put a lot of work into the Discord. So for the patrons, there's a link to the Discord, and it's a private link. It's patrons only, and we do that a lot. Like Bark charges a cover charge on Friday night to help keep the riffraff out. It's because unfortunately a lot of times there's riffraff here on YouTube, and we just don't want jerks in there. So, and it doesn't mean that there aren't occasionally jerks on Patreon. There's occasionally, I was a bouncer for a few years. There's occasionally people who pay the cover charge and still need to get thrown out of the bar. So, roger that, Badger. How many people is needed to schedule a training class with Refuge Medical? Bobby Rice, so sales@refugetraining.com or refugemedical.com, either one, sales@refugetraining.com. It's a minimum of 5, but the more the merrier, because the class cost is the class cost. And so if you have 20 people, your cost per head is going to be 1/4 of what it's going to be with 5 people. Can confirm the Discord is good stuff. So BCP just went down to Mexico, and what do you know? He found no shortage of baby formula. Yep. I believe he can milk dairy sheep with babies. Were you military? Nope. Did some contracting work and subject matter expertise for the DoD and the DIA. Thoughts on networking with folks who maybe not as belief system as yourself. So here's the issue with that. There's lots of good people out there. You need to determine with your group and with your house, your household, to what level you want to be involved with people that aren't 100% ideologically aligned with you. Now let me tell you, 100% ideological alignment doesn't exist. You can get really close. Even with people you're super tight with, you're still going to disagree on things, and that's okay. But the higher your level of ideological alignment is, the deeper you can go with somebody. And so the question really is, how deep do you want to go? Because if you're going to be surface level, you're going to coordinate on a few things occasionally, hang out a little bit, maybe do a little bit of cross training. They don't have to think and feel and believe and be convicted the exact same way that you are. But if you're gonna like put your back up against them when it's you and them against the world, and if I die, you take care of my family, and if you die, I'll take care of your family, it would be really good to have super high ideological alignment. So, what do you think?
I agree.
Roger that.
That's what I think. No, I agree. It's important. Like, it's nice to
Go ahead, Thomas
be
Jefferson.
able to like get together with a group of people and not necessarily have to worry about like saying something that might offend someone else. Like that's, I mean, yeah, we still occasionally piss each other off, but
we do it in love.
right. Right. And so, but it's not like, you know, we don't have to argue about those like major topics. Like we all kind of agree about the same principles and morals and values and the big stuff.
That's a good point, because morals and ethics matter. Because if I'm playing from a different set of rules than you are, then we're going to have a difference in agreement about what right and wrong is. And especially if we're talking about decentralization and a loss of national legitimacy from our governance, where we all have to take more personal responsibility, we should probably be on the same damn page as to what right and wrong is. So, there was a question I saw that I wanted to answer, and oh yeah, so I'm gonna I'll show that book in 1 minute. Shine that big black book that's next to you, if you'll have it on deck. And let's see, where did it go? Oh, FRT, yay or nay? So I think in specific roles that are addressed in this book right here, may I have my book, please? Thank you. Resistance Operating Concept. Here's the book by Otto C. Fiala, right here. Published by the Joint Special Operations University Press. Highly recommended reading. This was recommended initially by Pastor Joe Fox of Viking Preparedness on his Patreon channel. I got it, and I'm me, so I've been taking notes, I've been underlining stuff, I've been doing all the things. Super important book, which informs your FRT question. An FRT, in certain roles, is going to give you lots of capability for high volumes of airsoft BBs that, if you have an H3 heavy buffer in your airsoft training rifle, will allow you to shoot more BBs more quickly in a 5.56 BB gun. And that can be a real game changer depending on what you're doing. There's not really a role for that unless you're already part of, at a minimum, a squad-sized element that's already training together. I also have heard that those particular types of devices for airsoft BB guns don't work in the larger number 10 style airsoft BB guns because of some interplay in between the package that drops into the bottom part and the talk around the Bravo Charlie Golf is an issue. So, because it's an issue of tolerances. But on the number 15 airsofts, with the H3 heavy buffer, you can shoot a bunch of extra 20.25 gram 6mm airsoft BBs pretty quickly. So, but again, I would make sure at a minimum that when you're doing your milsim at the airsoft field, that at a minimum you have a squad size element, and then you need to dedicate at least one member of your milsim airsoft team to essentially be earplugs everybody, ammo ditch, because it's a lot of BBs. So, yeah. So hopefully that answers your question.
Somebody asked if we were still rotational grazing and if it was worth it.
That is a great topic.
And everything. So, yes, we are. Yes, it does take some dedication to do. Like, it takes time to move the fence every couple of days. But, I mean, our feed bill has gone down significantly in doing rotational grazing.
I agree with that. We're probably feeding 40% of the feed now than we were, just grain, and using far less hay.
Yeah.
Really, the only time I'm throwing hay bales now is when they really need to be moved, but I don't really have the time to move them today, so I'll go throw them a hay bale instead. Yeah. EOTech or aim point depends on what you're doing. EOTech, the correct EOTech basically rules the night if you're doing nod stuff. If you're doing green-eyed boogeyman, googly-eyed stuff, then yeah, the EOTech on a riser is probably where you want to be. The aim point day and night for me, I prefer an aim point during the day over an EOTech. And do you have astigmatism? Because if you have astigmatism, you don't want an EOTech because it's going to be blurry, fuzzy, useless for you. But even an aim point on a riser, they can work under nods for green-eyed googly boy stuff, but they're not as good, in my opinion, as the EOTech is. And the EOTech just has a huge field of view. And so if you're doing up-close personal, mil sim, airsoft, green-eyed googly boy stuff, then yeah, I would recommend the EOTech over the aim point. And neither one of them is cheap. So back to the sheepers and rotational grazing. I love the concept. I find myself occasionally getting kind of annoyed that I got to move sheep fence today.
Yeah.
So if you have a large pasture that you can fence and potentially cross fence, that may be better for you than getting something like the Gallagher Smart Fence or the Premier One Electronet, both of which we've talked about on Patreon. But it is more labor intensive.
Yeah.
But you save a bunch on feed, like a considerable amount on feed. Now, the electric fence isn't cheap either.
No. But I would say it's probably already paid for itself.
Yeah.
With the savings
Probably.
and feed. So.
Agent Smith said, okay, so EOTech versus Aimpoint get a hollow sun. If you want to, but a lot of those hollow suns perform incredibly poorly. They bloom under green-eyed googly boy goggle-os. So
I love how we're talking like tactical sheep.
Tactical sheep. Welcome to our life. This is kind of how it goes, right? A lot of those hollow suns don't quite get dark enough in true no light settings, and so you're going to have a massive bloom. Some of them do, but a lot of them don't. So, do sheep get along with small donkeys? It depends on the donkey.
Yeah.
Some donkeys we don't have them, but I've seen reports of this. Some donkeys do great with them. Some donkeys kill them. So, and the goal is to nobody kills my sheep but me, because I want to eat it. That's why we have them in the first place.
So we have tactical sheep to go with the tactical chicken. Yes.
The best sword is to carry his word. So I agree you should carry his word in your mind and in your heart and in your hands. You should be all about it. But I would also refer you to Luke chapter 22, verse 36. If you don't have a sword, sell your cloak and buy one, said the words of Messiah. And of course, Peter goes, I've got 2 Glock 18s with 33 round stick mags. And he goes, well, bro, that's enough. That's good. So you don't need a third. What's up, Tamar? Yes, I am saying some donkeys are asses. In fact, we almost bought a piece of land before we bought this one that I really wanted to buy because it came with as my wife and grandma described it, a really nice donkey that grandma really liked the donkey.
They really liked grandma.
And I wanted to buy the land for no other reason than to be able to tell people that 83-year-old grandma has a really nice ass. We didn't buy that place.
No.
But I thought it would be great. So.
Somebody asked about an essential oil blend for bug bites.
100% deep.
No. I actually use Joy essential oil for my mosquito bites. I normally welt up pretty bad after getting bit by a mosquito, and typically I can put a little drop of Joy on it, and it pretty immediately, within 30 minutes, goes away. So that's kind of my go-to oily blend.
Hey Nana, can you put some ice in this, please? About up to where my thumb's at. Thank you. Comfrey works too. Those little Evers in the Ozarks are no joke. They will eat you alive. Yeah, the ticks for sure. Somebody said, how do you keep the ticks off the sheep? They have a wool coat on. The ticks don't bother them. I've never found a tick on a sheep that I butchered. So, never once.
Yeah.
You got a bug right there. Now it's on me. Nope, now it's on me. I just kind of wanted to grope you on camera.
Thanks.
Well, you're below the line here, so. Can you suggest a good bore site? No, I can't. I've owned a couple of them, and I was unimpressed with the two that I owned. One was like a cheap, like, Instagram ad, $39 bore site, and I was like, it's $40 if it works. If it gets me on paper, okay, it'll probably pay for itself. With the ammo that I save, I'll try it out. It's been burnt in the dumpster years ago. It's garbage. And then I owned another one that was like a $200, I think it's $189 bore sighter, and blah blah blah. It adapts to all these different calibers and yada yada, and it didn't work worth a crap. And I'm not a genius, but I'm not a moron either. So I couldn't get on paper with it at 100. I could at 50, but I can already get on paper at 50 anyway. In fact, give me my damn cup, child. Don't start with me. All right, and also don't stand there creepily. We're working. Sit or go do something, or the dog can eat you. So my zeroing process is really easy. I go to 15 yards with a paper target, and I fire a 3-round group. 3 to 5 round group, usually about 3 rounds, because it's 15 yards from a rest. Like, come on. So that's going to give you an idea of where the rounds are landing. Then I adjust at 15. Then I go back to 50 because I know I'm on paper. Then I adjust at 50, 3 to 5 shot group, and then I go back to 100, and I adjust. I shoot another 3 to 5 round group at 100, and now I've got an idea. I can walk the rounds in. And by the way, never chase the round. Don't shoot one round and then adjust, then shoot another round and then adjust. You want to shoot groups at a minimum of 3, probably 5, to get an idea of where the rifle is patterning. And I'm no professional, okay? This is just what I do. So I'll shoot a 3 to 5 round group, and if the rifle's good and I'm doing my job, I should be looking at a 1-inch group at 100 yards, and then I'll dial to where I want to be, and then I'll confirm that I'm on. And then at 100, like a lot of those shoot and see targets at the 12, 3, 6, and 9 positions, they have a 1 MOA red dot. And I will aim for each of those dots. And if I had good trigger presses, that round should be touching that red dot, if not in the center of it. And if I can do that with the rifle, obviously this is with a magnified optic. If I can do that with the rifle, then I know I'm zero. And that's how I zero weapons. And a good weapon, this takes 20 to 25 rounds. A bad weapon, like the first upper that Bear Creek Arsenal sent me, after 120 rounds, I still couldn't zero the thing, and I was shooting a 10-inch shot dispersion at 100 yards. It's like, this rifle's junk. So, yeah. The only time to chase rounds is in a fight or in a competition. I don't compete, so I'll go with you on fight. Hi, Sam. What? That's my armpit, you weirdo. An $85 ACOG? Where'd you get it? What truck did an $85 ACOG fall off of? Or was it like a Chinese ACOG? Air quote. You know? Is it better to can meat in a quart or a pint jar? Well, how much meat do you eat? Because what?
Pint or a quart jar? Yeah, it depends on how big of a serving you want.
When you open the jar, it's open.
Yeah,
so
a quart jar is going to fit like a pound of meat. So if you have like a family to feed, then a quart jar is going to be probably way better storage-wise than a pint jar.
There's a 120-pound Anatolian Pyrenees mixed murder dog sitting on my right foot right now. It feels really good. Yeah, tactical Cheshire cat, or the real Cheshire cat, that's what I was thinking. My Trijicon ACOG was a bit more than $85. I kind of feel the same way. If it's under 900, it's probably not an ACOG, right? Show us Sam. Okay. Sam is right here.
Yeah.
Hey, bud. Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, Dad.
Hi.
I did murders. He's like been like all up in my grill here lately because grandma put the kill order out on all the little bunnies that she used to think was cute, but then started religiously eating her garden every morning. So she told me, she goes, I don't really care anymore. If you just want to shoot them, that's okay with me. And I was like, you got it. So I was on the four-wheeler feeding the sheep the other morning, and rabbits have the worst defense mechanism because you see them and they're running and they stop and look at you with that one eye like, you don't see me. I'm not moving. I'm going to sit right here. I'm like, dude, I'm colorblind and I can see the brown rabbit against the green grass. So, yes, I did a bunny drive-by. TJ Elton, that's correct. I did a bunny drive-by on the four-wheeler, one-handed with a Glock 19X. Now, it was only 7 yards. I shot him right through the side. And then that kicked up another one that took off running. And he ran into the wood line, just like 1 foot into the wood line, and sat perfectly still. And then I shot him from about 15 yards, threw him on the front of the four-wheeler. And then when I got home, or back to the house here, I gave him to my dog, and my dog was super happy for 2 fresh rabbits. So that's some precision knitting. 7 yards is not precision knitting. 15 on a rabbit with a pistol, we're getting. I think that's an acceptable level of marksmanship, to be able to expect that from yourself and the other people on your team. Like if you're taking the time and you just get good sight picture, good trigger press, you should be able to smoke a rabbit at 15 yards with a handgun. So, a little bit more Grandpa's cough medicine. Somebody, I believe, gave me this bottle. This is the old Woodford Reserve right here. 90.4 proof proprietary batch. Straight Kentucky bourbon whiskey. So, we'll get the inevitable comments from people who are new here. You call yourself a man of God and you're smoking cigars and drinking whiskey? Yeah. So. Hey, at least my peculiarities are out where you can see them. I'm not pretending to be pious on Sunday morning and I'm going into work on Monday morning thinking about how I'm going to murder everybody in this building or lusting after all the women that are in there or having a covetous heart or any of that. So, need some of that backwoods liquor without a label on the bottle. Well, if you're on Patreon, stay tuned for a 3-part series on how to make homemade ethanol truck fuel. So, yeah. I can hit a bullseye 20 yards with my 380, so I'm a bit of a sniper myself. Nice, I like that. Thoughts on digital night vision and SHTF for budget NVG setup? Have IR laser pointer and a maul. To complement digital night vision device. Mainly my idea was limited capability, better than none. Yeah, so the digital stuff is not good operationally in my experience. It is good for recon and scouting, but the clarity on it, it's just, even the stuff that's like the really good stuff, it's just not that great. And what I found, if you're using something, whether it's green tube or white phosphor, Gen 2, Gen 3, whatever, that without an IR illuminator is way more effective than the digital stuff with an IR illuminator. And then if you've got something like the Surefire Vampire, I've got one of those on one of my rifles, my night fighting rifle, and you have one of those with a Peck or a Maul or a Steiner D-Bal, and even kind of crappy, even if it's green tube night vision, it's so good. It's so much better than the digital night vision. Somebody asked for an update on the ATN scope. I haven't put an illuminator on it yet, and the illuminator it comes with is terrible. It's so bad, and you can't see anything out of that scope on even if you're talking about nighttime illumination. 50% illum off of the moon at night with that thing, you can't see anything. out of that scope. It has to have an illuminator, and the illuminator it comes with is garbage. And so psionics ain't bad. I believe it was Hoplop File, I think is how you say his name. I have no idea. He just goes by Hop. But I believe it was Hop did a video on the Psionics Aurora, and it's okay for filming at night, but I would not mount it on a weapon, and I would not mount it on a helmet if you're going to use a weapon at night. Unfortunately, night vision is very much so one of those things where you get what you pay for. So the question is, limited capability versus no capability based upon budget. I could see the argument for a Psionics Aurora for recon and scouting, or in a fixed position like an LP, OP, to be able to see something at night, but I wouldn't put it on a helmet and think that you're going to get some stuff done. You know, I don't think it's a good idea to attempt to be the green-eyed googly boys with the Psionics Aurora, is my point. And the ATN digital night vision scope absolutely has to have an illuminator with it. It is useless without it, and the one they send is useless. So I haven't ponied up the $400 to put a real illuminator on that thing yet. But I do have ATN PVS 14s, and they're excellent. They're excellent. So they're not cheap, but they're excellent. Great construction quality, excellent clarity, no artifacts in the tube, which is saying a lot. No artifacts in the tube. And I'm colorblind, so for me, green tube versus white phosphorus doesn't really matter that much for me. I kind of already see in FLIR at night. S2 Underground just did an excellent video on nighttime adaptation, and the first 5 to 10 minutes of the video, he was talking about the biology of how the eye works, and cones versus rods and the whole nine. And so because I'm colorblind, I don't see color during the day, but at night I've been told by myriad doctors that my night vision is 2 to 3 times as good as an average mere mortal's human being at night. And I like that. Doesn't mean that I don't require night vision in certain circumstances, but I see really well in the dark, like super well in the dark. So does thermal make better night vision? Thermal does different things than night vision. It's definitely good for identifying PID, positive identification of target, at night. With thermal and good thermal, if it has a pulse, meaning it's radiating body heat, you can see it. And if you have a good thermal night vision device, you can absolutely see trees and vehicles and roads and houses and lights and buildings and all that. If you have a pretty crappy thermal, not so much. You might see a heat signature in an otherwise black or darkened field. So, and it depends, you know, black hot, white hot, yada, yada, yada. But some of those clip-on thermals, and I have some friends that have some. I've played with them a little bit. I don't own one, although I'd like to get into that for reasons. But I don't have a vast body of experience with the clip-on thermals. You know, the 1913 pick rail-mounted thermals. So if somebody wanted to send me one so that I could break it on camera, I'd be happy to have it. But they're not cheap, dude. Like about the baseline for a decent one seems to be $1,100 to $1,200. Do you have glasses for your color blindness? Does this affect your driving license? So it doesn't affect my driver's license. And Andy Barnes, brother Andy, gave me a pair of glasses to try out for color blindness, and I'm so super color blindness that they don't help me. So you have like red, blue, and yellow, I believe it is, receptors in your eyes, and those can be diminished or they can be heightened. And certain people it's a spectrum, right? My wife, for example, is heightened in all of those things. She sees in like a bajillion colors, and I see in like 0. And so I am so far diminished on the scale of all of those things that they just don't register to me at all. I basically see like a dog.
Yeah. Whereas I see every shade.
Yeah.
Every shade. Before. I was a really badass paint matcher when I worked for Lowe's. Because I could like pick out the little underlying hue.
How did you get electrical work with color blindness? And so here's the thing, and I say this with love in my heart. I'm colorblind, not stupid.
You're not blind.
I'm not blind.
Yeah.
And so, so when you're running a triplex or something, you know, the neutral is going to have a white line on it. That's pretty easy. The green ground wire or the bare copper ground wire looks different than everything else. The white neutral looks way different than the black hot, and the red hot on a 240 circuit looks different than the black hot does. So, you know, I mean, and that's basics. And then when you get into like large scale, when you're talking utility scale electrification, bro, it's all just metal wire. It's all just bare wire. So you label the wire, and this reel is this circuit, this reel is that circuit, this reel is this phase, so forth and so on. And so, but I would get people all the time with like, they'd come up with like a box of crayons. They'd be like, what color is this? Like, that's blue. Like, well, I thought you said you were colorblind. Uh-huh, I am.
Right.
But like, I don't know what green looks like to you, but I know what green looks like to me. And there's green on the tops of these trees and in the garden over here and in the grass, and you know, like it. So I see a lot in like intensity of shades. And so I have issues with like reds and greens, with oranges and greens, with yellow and light greens, with blue and black and purple, purple and brown, believe it or not, grays and blues. So it's more about how intense the color is, how bright or dark the color is. So colors that have almost the same heat signature, even though they might be on vastly different ends of the spectrum of color, if they have the same heat signature, the same brightness, they appear the same to me. That's the best I know how to explain it, because colorblind is something you are from birth. So I've seen this way my entire life, and it literally, Crayola crayons is how I figured life out. I was like, pick a crayon, hold it up, and put it over there and be like, okay, that's what blue looks like. Got it. That's what red looks like. That's what yellow looks like. And so I'm colorblind, not stupid. So not blind. Somebody asked how your she shed's doing.
I know, and my she shed is great. I finally got the last of like the ceiling panels put in.
So you see like the Predator. Yes.
Helped us with that. And I've still got to get like my art shelf and my baskets put over there, and then it should be like complete.
My husband also wants to know how to sharpen his chainsaw blade. So chainsaws don't have blades; they have bars and chains. But common mistake that you made there. There's not a single part on the chainsaw called a blade. The chain goes around the bar, which is the flat metal piece that sticks out the front of the saw, which is also called the power head. I have videos on that on Patreon from way back. Go watch Buck and Billy Ray on YouTube. Buck and Billy Ray. He has excellent videos on how to sharpen chains. He's an excellent human being. Go watch any of his videos on how to sharpen a chain. What's your favorite color? Gray. Marpat is my favorite color. Knob and tube, both wires were black. That stuff sucks. Yes, agreed. Let's see. How would you fortify and conceal a stealth campsite on a small island? Barbed wire. I would use Kevlar tripwire mounted to claymores at the 12 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 8 o'clock positions. I have a couple of machine gun nests. I would say 240 Bravos, but given the fact that we're now apparently switching to the 250, so depending on what your stockpile of 6.8 by 51 is, you know, 240, 250, your pick. Probably not a mod deuce because they're heavy, the ammo is heavy. It's going to be difficult to port for you. Get some good camouflage netting going. And then I would wear nothing but coconuts, like a coconut Speedo and a coconut bra, and then cover yourself in mud like the Governator from Predator. And I think that would be a good start as far as fortifying an island position. Obviously, fighting positions dug in with grenade sumps would be highly recommended. I don't know how many HESCO barriers you have available, but I'd definitely get some HESCOs going. dig a latrine, put in a field kitchen. Yeah, you know, basic stuff.
Somebody asked if we freeze dry anything non-prepper related. Yes.
Well, hold on. First, I want to say that preparedness should be perpetuating normalcy for the people that you love.
Yes.
And so
that includes
if you're
prepper.
operating under that guise, everything's prepper related.
Yeah.
If you're operating under the guise of Putin's going to put warheads on your foreheads tomorrow because he's in a bad mood, then you're probably doing it wrong. But go ahead.
So yes, I've done lots of ice cream, Skittles, the caramel apple pops, the
Whoppers.
no, not Whoppers. They're
Milk duds?
Milk Duds.
Milk duds.
Yeah, Milk Duds. I actually, my freeze dryer actually went down. So I had to get a new computer board and stuff, and
That is
so
the second fly I've pulled
now
out of my whiskey. I don't know if he's drunk or dead. I don't know if he's drunk or dead, but that's the second one. He OD'd. He had enough.
Yeah, talk freeze dryer.
I'm talking flies and whiskey.
So with the new software that I got, I can actually change the drying temp. So I'm interested to try gummy bears, gummy worms kind of thing to do that, because my old software I couldn't change it. I was stuck.
What is the brand of freeze dryer y'all have?
So I actually think there is another company right now. I've seen their ad on Facebook or something, but I have Harvest Right, and it's pretty much the only freeze drying company out there that is for home use. There's some other pharmaceutical ones, but you're gonna pay out the wazoo for those. So I have Harvest Right. We do have an affiliate link. If anybody's thinking about buying a freeze dryer, it helps us. It helps you in the process.
Mhm.
You get a discount.
Yeah, you get a couple bucks out of the deal.
Yeah.
So. Let's see. Tracy Jones said, "How do you cook outdoors? I'm looking into a wood-burning stove." Okay, so there's a few ways we cook outdoors. The obvious answer is propane. I have a propane grill right there, and I do everyday cooking on that. I eat a lot of protein, and I cook a lot of protein on the grill outside.
It's quick. It's easy.
Yep. We also have a big green egg in the front yard, and I talked about 10 tips for suburban preppers in that video. I talked about the big green egg. And so if you haven't seen that video, go watch that. 10 tips for suburban preppers. And the onus for that video was I was thinking about y'all. Statistically, 80% of the world's population lives within 50 miles of the coast. Okay? And so most of y'all live in cities or suburbs. And when we lived in the suburbs, we had a big green egg in the backyard, not the front yard. And I loved that thing because I could burn, if I had to, charcoal briquettes in it, hardwood lump charcoal, or sticks and twigs. And I did a lot of cooking on that thing, and I still do, with sticks and twigs. And so, it works really well. You can bake in that thing if you need to. You can obviously grill, you can roast, you can boil water if you need to. They're dumb expensive. You actually found one that the guy was selling used. And it was brand new,
Yeah.
but it was used.
It was
right?
used.
Like
He'd never used
never
it.
fired it.
Had
Now,
the cart and everything.
the whole package
Yeah.
deal. And so I think it was it Father's Day or my birthday? Or
It was your birthday.
it was my birthday. And she was like, "Hey, I got you something for your birthday. You need to go to this town and
You need to
pick it up." So me and Dudley went over there with a trailer and loaded this thing up, and so I like the big green egg a lot for that, because if fuel is an issue, you can literally burn sticks and twigs and pine needles in it. I do it all the time and cook over it. It works great. Then we have a fire pit down at our gazebo that we do a considerable amount of cooking on it, just wood fire. And wood fire basically means cast iron. So you're going to want cast iron pans, maybe a griddle, Dutch ovens for sure, and all the long-handled utensils that go with that. And then we have a brother that got me a 2x4 sheet of steel to use as a griddle on top of that fire pit, which is super cool. And then we also build fires in the fire pit at the gazebo, which we then shovel the coals out of. And we have a spit that was made by a couple of brothers here, Okie Storm Chaser and Hunter Seeker, put this thing together. And the spit will hold a very large sheep or a small cow. And we fill the bed. There's a 55-gallon drum cut in half, laid long ways underneath the spit. We shovel the coals in there, mount the animal on the spit, rotate, and we've roasted literally more sheep than I can count on that thing.
Yeah, good stuff.
And then there's the obvious stuff, like if y'all have been paying attention here for any length of time, you know I make a lot of coffee over a fire. That's easy. Just boiling
the solar
water.
oven.
And the solar oven. Yep, that's a great point as well.
I like the solar oven.
Yep, solar. Yeah, sun oven is awesome. So there's lots of ways that you can cook outside. The sun oven is a great point because it's low barrier to entry.
Yeah.
And it'll work if you can get sun on the thing. It'll work.
Yeah.
And then like the big green egg. Like I said, if you live in the suburbs, and you're like, everybody does the 3 times per year requisite backyard barbecue, right? Little Johnny's birthday, the 4th of July, and Memorial Day, right? Like, so you're gonna need a grill. You may already have a grill. And we also, now that I think about it, we have 2 of the Weber round grills.
Yeah.
One up at Grandma's and one at the gazebo as well. And so you can burn charcoal briquettes, lump charcoal, or firewood, or sticks in it as well, and cook on it. And so I think the methodologies can be as complicated or simple as you want them to be. You just need to practice cooking over fire, because that's really what it comes down to. Because propane ain't gonna last forever. We have a lot of propane because we're us, you stack stuff for the inevitabilities of the global empires circling the drain. But sooner or later the propane runs out. Then what? Well, praise the Most High, I'm surrounded by trees. We have a lot of firewood and sticks and stuff. So
Can I ask you a brief question?
Oh, send it.
Answer it. They asked if you could freeze dry a raw steak and then grill it. And the answer is yes, you can. So meat, when it's freeze dried, when you go to reconstitute it, it will only absorb as much moisture as it needs to be absorbed. To
right,
be
it'll
normal.
only suck up as much as it
Right,
needs.
it's not going to get watery. I don't know what the right term is. But freeze-dried raw meat also looks vastly different. So generally, raw beef turns kind of like a gray color. So when you go to cook it, you really need to go off of temperature of that meat, not
how it
looks.
Good point.
Yes. So a lot of people tend to overcook their raw meat because they're going off of the pinkness of it, and freeze-dried meats don't usually have that pinkness because it's blood. And you're basically sucking all that out when you freeze-dry it.
So 49er Doug said, I need to get your advice before I speak to the local school boards about their school security. Email us, admin at Bear Independent, 49er Doug. We can have a little back and forth there. I am all about let's protect and save as many kids as possible. 100% all over that. We've got a big push on that here at the channel. We've got a big push on that at Refuge Medical. If you're an educator and you need equipment, you just send us an email. We'll work with you. If you're a school administrator and you need to make bulk purchases, 100% willing to work with you. And this is not us standing on the graves of children. I don't want kids to die. And in fact, we have a local initiative going on here where we are teaming up with as many local schools and law enforcement offices as we can, law enforcement departments as we can here at no cost to them to train them. So, yeah, we're all about that. Like I said, I just filmed an 8-part series for YouTube that'll be coming out the next 8 Tuesdays on the March algorithm, Stop the Bleed, TCCC, and it's information. It's not instruction. Please don't conflate the two. Like, you still need to go to training, but if those videos help one person save a life, it's a win. And I'm basically giving you the classroom portion of our training. You still need to come to training because you have to do it with your hands, and it's not instruction if you haven't done it with your hands with a qualified professional standing next to you to make sure you're doing it right. It's the same thing with, you know, learning to shoot a handgun. You don't watch a bunch of videos and then think you know how to shoot a handgun. Like, you have to go take a class with a qualified instructor. It's even more so that with medical equipment, because I don't want people to gain a false sense of security thinking that they know, but without having developed the automaticity to be able to do it without thinking because of a good training regimen. Dano, not the Lions Den. The Lord knows y'all can use this fire starter properly. It would have probably bought drugs. Well, Dano, I appreciate you. Hey, let's not buy any more drugs, all right, brother? Saying as a guy who dropped $1.4 million on cocaine and bourbon in 2 years when I was younger. And it's interesting. It's hard to get the drug dealers to give you receipts, but I know it was in the bank account when I started, and I know what wasn't in there when I finished, and it was about $1.4 million. So I've been there, brother. Don't do that. Lean not on your... Yeah.
I got fired from a job for embezzlement because I was embezzling money to buy drugs.
We are not the people we were.
Nope.
Praise Yah.
Praise Yah.
So lean not on your own understanding, lean on the Father. Man. Can you give us an update on Caleb House? What's up, Tommy Salter? Shalom, brother. Yes, I can. So groundbreaking has begun. We are hoping to be funded through a grant for construction right around September of this year. In the meanwhile, per the parameters of the grant, we can't begin construction, but we can begin site prep. And so I am in the process of doing the site prep. There were some existing buildings that didn't need to be there because of the layout that we're going to be doing. And so we've demolished the buildings and we'll be generating dirt and doing road repairs and building pads for where the construction will occur and clearing land where the construction will occur between now and September. We're also diligently working on our sustainment model because I don't want to be beholden to grants and I don't want to have to come beg y'all for operational funds when this thing gets up and running. Although, truth in advertising, we are 100% at your mercy when it comes to funding this thing. Irene Moran said, what's Caleb House? Caleb House is, and it's with a K, y'all. Caleb with the K. Caleb House is our restoration facility for survivors of, juvenile survivors of human trafficking. So kids that have been sold as product for sex, when they get rescued, they don't have a place to go. And so we are super involved and super supportive of the rescue side of things, rescuing these kids, but they need to have a place to go afterwards. And so the critical need is restoration. What do we do with these children after they're rescued? And unfortunately right now, in many cases, the foster care system and orphanages, state orphanages, are receiving these kids. And it's not that there's not good foster parents, because there are. And it's not that there aren't good orphanages, because there are. But many of these kids were trafficked from those exact places in the first place. And many kids have been rescued 2 or 3 times because they're continuously abducted and or sold by the parents, foster parents, back into bondage. Where do we donate? GrindstoneMinistries.com. Bless you. Foster care is where I got trafficked. Titus 2, Jesus girl. Exactly. And I'm sorry that happened to you, sister. I truly am. And so Caleb House is the restoration facility that we're building. Already supporting and engaging in rescue missions, we need to have a restoration facility where these kids can go so that we can unbreak them. And that's what we're doing. We are commanded to forsake not the widow and the orphan, and these kids are orphans. They don't have a covering. And so we're using the house parents model, meaning that there will be dedicated parents in each house, or 4 to 6 children in each house, and you live there until you graduate. These are now your parents. This is now your home. Nobody's going to bother you. Nobody's going to hurt you. We will do our absolute best to meet all your needs, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, educational, financial needs, to help put you back together so that we're breaking those generational curses and restoring these people. And like I said, providing a covering to orphans. We don't have Caleb House built yet, but I'm both happy and really sad to announce that we already have 6 children that we're currently working with. And one of the best things we've ever done, I've told you for a couple of years now, hey, Grindstone Ministries is a 100% volunteer operation. Nobody gets paid. Caleb House, which is a separate 501c3 but works with our other ministry, Grindstone. Grindstone is the construction arm of things. We build stuff and we rehabilitate people, and we provide relief efforts after storms and disasters, and again, forsake not the widow and the orphan. Grindstone is the construction arm of what we do. Caleb House is the restoration facility. Well, a few months ago, we hired a director of operations for Caleb House. And I'm so happy we did, because had we not done that and started making actual progress on Caleb House, we wouldn't be in a position to where Friday, on Memorial Day weekend, Friday, I got a phone call. It was like, hey, we got 6 kids. It's like, what do we need to do? And so you may have noticed Friday morning, I was a little perturbed. I was perturbed for a lot of reasons, but I've had a lot of stuff, and listen, you can find sympathy between shit and syphilis in the dictionary, right? So this is not me complaining, but we've had a lot on our plate since that Friday morning, facilitating for these 6 children, the oldest of which is 12 years old, who were sexually assaulted. And so we're working to satisfy the requirements of the court, DHS and county court for them, and provide for their every want and need, and to rehabilitate them. And we don't even have the facility built yet. And so I just wanted to let y'all know, like, we're doing our damnedest to bear fruit with the love and the blessings and the provision that y'all have poured into us. Like, please know, where do I donate for that? grindstoneministries.com. And bless you and thank you very much. grindstoneministries.com. If any of the blue wrenches can put that link in the chat, I would appreciate it very much. It's grindstoneministries.com. And there's a link in the description of every video as well. Tell those kids that I love them and their life can get better. I will. Yes, we are looking for experienced counselors for Caleb House. admin@grindstoneministries.com. Please shoot us an email. Let's chat, because we are actively not just building the facility, but actively building the team that is going to operate it. Grindstone is building the facility, and then Caleb House will operate at the facility once it's constructed. So, St. Barb, Oklahoma. Negative, man. I just got done telling you I've blown over $1 million on cocaine and bourbon in 2 years. Not recently. I am covered with satanic tattoos from a previous life. I just, by the grace of the Most High, He never quit on me. And He was able to redeem me and bring me home again and give me a sense of purpose. And I have learned that I have to be obedient to Him. And it has created tension at times in our relationship. I'm like, I have to do this thing. And she's like, I know you have to do it. I don't like that you have to do it.
Mad you gotta do this, like, but I understand.
Right.
Like, I get it. If you're being told, you listen. And
exactly. Because it's important. And we have to be obedient. I have to be obedient. I am I am a wretched state of a human being when I'm not. I have to. The only thing that's harder for me than obedience is disobedience, and that's a fact. And so I'm not special, okay? I just listen to Yah and do what he tells me to do to the best of my ability. And that's all he really wants of any of us, is just that relationship with us, his children. He didn't accidentally create us. He made the whole world for us to rule and subdue and to come into it and to fill it and to go out and to be a witness to all nations and to perform many mighty works in his name and to do all these things and more in the name of the Son. And it's scary as shit sometimes.
Well, somebody commented, obedience isn't easy.
No,
it's not. Like, it's a big, scary place when you say, okay, yeah, tell me where to go, what to do,
bless you,
and he
speedboat guy.
does. Because you've got, it never fails. It happens when we are insanely busy, there's chaos going on, and at a moment's notice, it's like, I gotta go. And it's, on my side, I'm like, what? Huh? Like, we got all this. What do you mean you gotta go? And he's like, I gotta go. I'm like, okay. Have fun. I love you.
But what a blessing to have a badass wife, honestly. And because we talk about this regularly. By the world's standards, she doesn't need me. You are super competent, super capable. You can run this place if you needed to, and you do run this place when I'm not here. And so just from a relationship standpoint, it's awesome to be wanted, not just needed. And so, like, she wants me here. She wants to dig holes with the friggin' pickaxe so we can go plant blueberries. She wants to move the sheep fence. And so much so that I have brothers who are like, hey, we know you're busy. Would it help if we came over and did that stuff for you? And it's like, it wouldn't, because the way we stay connected is by doing stuff together. So it actually doesn't help me if you just come do it.
Right. We don't get that.
Puglet, bless you. Thank you, Puglet. But you hold the fort down when we're out there doing all this stuff. And that's part of the challenge. Grindstone we can talk about. We can talk about Grindstone all day. Like, what we do, and we're seeking no glory. It's all the Father's glory. But what we do, there's no operational security in it. It's like, there was a tornado, let's go help people. There was a hurricane, let's go help people. There was a flood, let's go help people. This woman's a widow, she has no covering, and she's got 3 kids, and her house was flooded, and a tree fell through her roof, let's go help her. We can do that. There's no problem, and it doesn't matter. I can shoot videos, and I do, about that stuff all day, and we talk about it all day, and it's awesome. Caleb House, I can't talk about a whole lot because there's legitimate operational security with it. And the fact that y'all still honor that, and you still pour into us with that, and that you trust me to be a good steward of your earthly treasure, to go forth and do good works on behalf of the Father, is really humbling to me, and I take it super seriously. Like, it's really important to me. But I can't tell you where Caleb House is. You can't come hang out there. You don't get to meet these kids. I will never shoot a video with any one of them. I can't, because the stakes are too high. We're dealing with criminal organizations that believe that these children are their product, and we're taking their product back from them. And so they don't get to know where we are and what we're doing and who we have and how we do it. And, oh, we just did a rescue and XYZ happened. But nobody gets to know that stuff. We don't even talk about a lot of these details. I don't share those details with you. And so, oh no. Why is that button so close to the other button?
I'm sure they got rid of a mod.
I didn't mean to. Don't unhide him. Get him. Get him, Tamar.
Where did you turn?
Yeah, we're on YouTube. Texas T, shalom, brother. Got the Prego buckets today. What a deal. Thanks, brother, for starting Refuge Medical. Praise the Father. I appreciate you, Texas T. Thank you. Approximately how many acres do you need for sheep?
How many sheep do you want?
Well, and what's your grass resource? That's the biggest thing. On a poor grass resource, it's roughly 5 head per acre. On a good grass resource, it's 10 head per acre. And you see, that's just some asshole trying to get us all riled up, and I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Because, and
that's the enemy trying to distract and get you riled up, and don't let that shit work. Okay.
So, Raptor Meat said, criminals should respect the fact that you stole their product and not come looking. Well, Raptor Meat, to that point, and this is all ego and hubris aside, it's why we train to be really, really good at the hard skills that are associated with security. And I'm not tooting my own horn. And there's still more training that I need to do. There's always room to improve, but we as a group and we as an organization possess damn good hard skills, and we train with people whose jobs it is to do high profile things that you'll never hear about, so that we can have really good hard skills, because security is paramount. And the flip side of that, though, is Caleb House can't be a prison.
Right.
We're not rescuing these kids to bring them to a prison. There's not going to be razor wire and electric fence. It can't be. It's a restoration facility. It's not a prison. And so you have to have those hard skills, an iron fist inside of a velvet glove. That's what it is. And so, but that's how we conduct our lives, period. I don't want to have a problem with anybody. I'm not starting fights with anybody. You start a fight with me, I will end it that quick. My wife will tell you that. But I don't go picking fights. You mess with somebody I love, forget it. We were just talking about an incident last night on the back porch. Don't. Messing with my people is a guaranteed one-way ticket to the compost pile. So.
For sure. Whether he takes you there or I do.
Keep talking, I can't keep the cigar left. I think I'm also, it's getting chilly. I think we can turn that fan off.
Kick it down?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh.
There we go. Thank you, sweetie.
Yeah, that rain did cool it off a little bit. Put on my house coat.
How do you deal with indirect threats to loved ones? So a lot of people, sister, are just talking a bunch of shit. That's the first thing. The second is train up. Go ahead.
People like to get you riled up.
Yep.
Like they like to get that reaction.
That's what they're there for, is the reaction.
So just don't react.
The next is have good hard skills. Be competent. Be deadly if you need to be. Have the capacity for violence. Doesn't mean you're a violent person, but you should have the capacity for it. And when you go there, you should be damn good at it. Really damn good at it. The next is, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction, right? It's physics. You'd be amazed how much OSINT, open source information, is out there. Who's making threats? I guarantee you they have a presence. And you can glean a lot of information that could be motivational for people to behave. Let's put it that way. I have removed 2 people from my property at gunpoint.
I removed 1.
But he was supposed to be.
He was supposed to be there. I just didn't know it.
Don't drive into the driveway on the mountains. I'll just say that. That's a bad move.
Somebody asked me a question. Mommy, any knowledge of pickled eggs? No, I don't, because I don't like pickled eggs. I barely like eggs.
And we get so many eggs, we don't need to pickle them.
Yeah.
Somebody has a chicken addiction. So.
Yeah, I just like the fact that they eat bugs. I don't necessarily. The eggs are okay every once in a while. I'm just not like a big egg person. But I see the value in having eggs, so
Dang.
I keep chickens.
Free.
They're not flying in my
The
drink.
third whiskey
It's just-
fly.
Yeah,
That's because you're not.
wasted.
That's because you're not drinking Woodford Reserve.
No, but I've got more tequila than I do mixer.
There you go. Praise the Most High. I don't know what we're praising him for, but amen. I agree. Pickled protein. Bear, what combatives do you recommend getting trained in? It really depends. So mixed martial arts has kind of proven itself to be the king of the ring, right? There's an argument to be made that every fight's going to go to the ground sooner or later, but I think you need a good striking game. I've always been really good at punching people, and I've had some training in things like Krav. I took Taekwondo back in the day, Aikido, and then I met Dudley, who's had 26 professional MMA heavyweight fights, and Dudley helped me work on my striking quite a bit. And I still have a lot more work to do, honestly, to go from like basically fairly skilled brawler to
Shot caller.
no, not from brawler to shot caller. I already called the shots, honey. From fairly skilled brawler to surgical precision. Dudley has the ability to surgically gently punch you in the face when you don't have your hands up. Ask me how I know. Right? And so, but striking, pick something, right? Krav is good. Kickboxing is good. And kicks are devastating. Gosh, a good kick to the leg, nobody wants any anymore. Like a good kick to the leg, nobody wants anymore. Like it will ruin your day. How old is Bear? Old enough to know better and young enough to not care. Bear is younger than PJ. Yeah, well, of course. It would make sense that the son is younger than his father, right? Mark Chase wanted to know how many dozen eggs you can freeze dry in a batch of freeze dried.
So it's typically 18 per tray
18 eggs per tray, and her freeze dryer holds 4 trays.
for a
So,
medium.
on a medium harvest, right?
Yeah.
So somebody's phone just went. We just learned about it. Started glassing eggs. We'll see in a few months how well it works. It works. It definitely
Yeah.
works.
So there's mineral oil.
Yep. So does mineral oil. How many IBC totes would you recommend for 2 adults? So 2 adults would be a minimum of 10 gallons per day. 10 gallons times 30 days in a month would be 300 gallons. And so that'd be one, like these are 330s right here on camera. So that'd be one of these at a minimum per month. And so I'd probably say 2 of them. So you have some backup, and then it's much more, storage capacity is good because these are, IBC totes are essentially batteries for water, right? But you need a way to recharge the batteries, and so that's rainwater collection, or at least for most of us, it's rainwater collection. And so I think a couple of IBC totes, you'd be just fine. In fact, we have a bunch of brethren that are completely off grid, and they get their water from rainwater collection, and they have 1 to 2 IBC totes for their house. So, Have you frozen potatoes before? If so, how were they afterwards? So raw potatoes turn black when you freeze dry them.
Correct.
That's
You
one
have
of
to
the things
blanch
I've
them.
learned. You have to blanch them. So like parboil them, blanch them, and
Or
then
use
they'll be just
frozen
fine.
potatoes.
We were thinking 4 eventually. Well, Brian, I think you'd be just fine with 4 for 2 adults. Plus, that gives you surge capacity, and really, like at a minimum, about 4 months worth of storage. Because the standard nomenclature in the prepper world is that you need 1 gallon of water per person per day. And I've talked about this before, but we might have some new people here, so I'll be brief on it. You aren't my teacher, but you are a great leader. Thank you, Dakota. Well, listen up. I'm gonna teach you something about water too. Just messing with you. The problem with 1 gallon of water per person per day is that depending on your level of activity and your body mass, that might not be enough water. During the summer, I drink 2 to 2.5 gallons of water a day, just myself. And then you need some water for food prep, because let's face it, most of our prepper food is freeze-dried, dehydrated, or it's grains that need to be boiled, okay? So you need some water for food prep. And so I like to say at a minimum, a gallon of water to drink, a gallon of water to cook, and a gallon of water for sanitation. You need to wash your hands, you need to wash your dirty butt, you need to get the funk out of your armpits and get the lint out of your belly button and wash your face every day at a minimum, and your feet if you can.
Crusty ass.
And my wife said, and your crusty ass. Because in times of conflict, in war, the enemy, statistically speaking, only accounts for 1/3 of our casualties. The other 2/3 of our casualties come from disease and infection and poor logistics.
Yeah.
So that's not having the fuel you need, or the water you need, or the food that you need, and poor sanitation. So 2/3 of the casualties, historically speaking, in a conflict are our fault. They're not the bad guy's fault, they're our fault, because we didn't nail our logistics and we didn't wash our crusty ass. So that's why I recommend a minimum of 3 gallons of water per person per day for storage, and 5 is better. So
Yeah, what you said.
good job, Justin Ridlin.
It was cost effectively cute. Store water, probably IBC totes or 55-gallon barrels, like depending on what you can find in
Or-
your area.
Wash your butt last. Yes, you're correct, Caddy. I'm well. Justin, how are you? Bear, do you know John Pounders? I don't personally know. I know Twitch is on his show right now, apparently, which is awesome. But there's been some conversation about me potentially ending up on his show as well, so we'll see. So IBC totes can work well. They vary greatly in price depending on where you are in the country and what size you're getting. The big black tanks work well as well. We haven't invested in the big black tanks yet because they are expensive, and I don't have a good place for a big black tank. But I do have an 8,400 gallon swimming pool that my wife talked me into, with the understanding that if things ever get super real, that's water storage. That's 8,400 gallons of a water battery, not the kids want to go swimming. Like, that's what we're going to use it for. So, baby wipes do go a long way. They sure do. Bleach, TT. Bleach. You use
Yeah, and make sure that they were food grade, or at least stored food, because a lot of them will store oils or petroleum or fertilizer, chemicals, bug sprays, that sort of thing. So make sure that your IBCs or drum barrels have stored food.
Somebody said, how are the mosquitoes in your area? Voracious? Hellacious?
We have water
Spacious.
all around us, so
Loquacious? No,
So-
they don't do a lot of talking. They're not loquacious.
yeah, lots of mosquitoes. Previous years we've had a lot of dragonflies that kind of really helped keep the mosquito population down. in the majority of the areas around our house, unless you stepped off into the woods or shady spot, then you got tore up. But this year there was not a whole lot of dragonflies, so the mosquitoes are kind of horrendous right now, which is why a fan is blowing, because mosquitoes don't like wind generally.
So, somebody said, have you considered using the pool for aquaponics? I have. I think aquaponics is super cool.
Yes.
And if I ever get a giant greenhouse, I will definitely engage in some aquaponics. The last time I was going to pull the trigger on a Farmer's Friend 16 by 100 hoop house, they didn't have the end panels in stock. And my wife and I have been back and forth on getting a greenhouse that size. And the way I see it, the way I think about it is, I want to have it. And I want to put it up. And if we don't do anything with it right now, it's not going to be any cheaper tomorrow or next month or next year than it is right now for the foreseeable future. That price is not going to go down. And I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. And so I think aquaponics are super cool. There's an excellent setup at the Heritage Homestead outside of Waco, Texas. They have a beautiful aquaponics system. And that was really inspiring to me to see that. And I've been interested in it ever since. But we do have a pond, and there are some fish in the pond. And you actually were catching fish out of the creek yesterday.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, which is cool.
And then I transplanted them to the pond.
Mm-hmm.
So, because we've got some fish in our pond, but not a whole lot. And it's not something we stock, like, ever. So, I rode by the creek the other day on the four-wheeler, and I was like, what's that brown stuff down there? Are those sticks, leaves? Like, what is that? And I came back from what I was doing, and I stopped and investigated, and it was a whole bunch of fish that were like down in a deep swimming hole that had been cut off because the creek dried up, kind of. And so me and one of our buddies went out there and fished for like 30 minutes and caught like 20 little sunfish and crappie that I put in a bucket, and then drove the bucket up to the pond and dumped them out in the pond. So
Hell
we'll
yeah.
see. We'll see if they live.
And I almost flipped the four-wheeler earlier going up to Grandma's. I was riding through the woods, and the woods had started to grow up, and there was apparently a massive stump amongst the ferns that I didn't see, and I hit the stump, and the four-wheeler did one of these, was kind of teetering, and the 30-gallon water tank that's on the back of the one four-wheeler for watering the sheep, it fell off, and the feed bucket that was on the front of it that you were hauling fish in yesterday, it got crushed, and I was like, oh snap. So that was fun. I had to drain all the water. The tank is fine, the hose on it, everything's fine.
Yeah.
Praise God, it fell just
Praise
right.
God, because those
Yeah.
tanks are
Well, and
expensive.
it was strapped on there, but the straps weren't having it with the angle of the dangle of the four-wheeler. And so I had to dump the water out, pick it up, strap it all back together, and we were on the back of Grandma's house. She has an old, decrepit set of concrete stairs, hollow concrete stairs, formed concrete that are falling apart, and it's dangerous. And so we had a brother up there working on the house, and so I took the four-wheeler up there to drag the steps out of the way. He had framed up some new ones, and he was going to slide them up against the house. And I was like, I'll bring the four-wheeler up, throw it in four-wheel, hook the winch line to it, and drag it out of the way. Well, in the process, it hit a freaking stump and almost wrecked it. But
Good job. Good job you did.
I made it. I'm alive. Praise God.
At least none of the stumps said anything they didn't get removed.
No, it's funny. Yeah, we've got neighbors that are the stumps now, and I've spent my whole life as a tree guy, demolishing stumps, and so Yah has a sense of humor.
Yeah, we didn't run
So.
one of them over.
Yes. Sometimes near-death puts it into perspective. I apologize. I saw a bunch of good questions go by earlier, and there's 755 of y'all in the chat. It's kind of hard to keep track of who said what when. Oh, Sanctified, there you are. What are y'all doing for Shavuot? We're getting together with the tribe, and we're going to eat an animal and fellowship and give thanks to Yah. And the following day, I will be on site at Caleb House with a 20-ton track hoe with a thumb. loading the dump truck that Mr. Dudley's going to be driving, loading the dump truck with debris that needs to get hauled to the dump, and digging a pond to generate dirt that we will use to base the buildings that are going in, and then also clearing land for where some building pads need to go. So I'll be doing that for 3-4 days after Shavuot. So, and then come home for a day, and then we hit the road and head to Camden, Tennessee for the Self-Reliance Expo. We're there for a few days, and then we come back, and then business, life, Homestead, do the things, all of that. So.
Somebody asked you drink cool water. What's that process look like?
Okay, my doctor says your IFAC what, John Paul Jones? My IFAC what? You cut out there,
When it
buddy.
gets into
Looks
so
like filtration.
we don't drink cool water currently because we have our own water supply. But if that's the case, pool water is just chlorinated. That's all it is. Its chlorination levels are higher than what you get out of like city water. But the thing with chlorinated water is chlorine evaporates, dissipates very quickly in sunlight. So
Awesome, John Paul Jones. Tell him to email us or hit the store. That's awesome.
you can.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I'm gonna. Hey, my doctor says your Fairfax and buckets are the best he has ever seen, and he wants some.
That's awesome.
Praise ya. Beautiful.
Yeah. So you can harvest a 5-gallon bucket of chlorinated water, leave it out in the sun for a day, and that chlorine is probably going to dissipate enough to a safe level, and then you can filter it as you would.
Dump it in the Berkey.
Yeah. That's our plan.
Parakeet salt. Hey, I got your package, brother. Thank you very much, man. I love it. Caveman blend. It's what's up. It's the Caveman blend. Love it. Shavuot is this Sunday, which is the 5th, I believe it is.
Yes. 6th.
No,
5th.
5th Sunday, Shavuot. Somebody said, have you considered growing tobacco again? I have. I just haven't done it yet. But I would totally like to do it again, just to give it a shot, just to try it. And then somebody else said, what plans do you have for droughts this summer? A few plans. The first is our area is experiencing a higher rate of rainfall, not a lower one. With the way the Gulf Stream is shifting, we're getting more rain than usual, not less. So that's a blessing. And then we are in the midst of installing rainwater catchment on the building behind me back here. I've got a 25 by 20 foot roof, so 500 square foot of roof right there that'll be feeding 6 IBC totes, 6 330s, so essentially 2,000 gallons of rainwater collection right there. And then I've got 3 creeks, so rainwater collection, 3 creeks, 3 wells, 2 springs, and rural water. So I have 10 water sources on property. Praise the fuck. Oh, and a pond. 11 water sources on property. So we have the opposite issue with water. We have a lot of water. Sometimes if it rains real hard, we have too much water.
Yeah, a lot of water.
So, hey, Oklahoma appreciates you in Ohio. Bless you, G. Richards. You are blessed. Yes, we are. Praise God. Yes, we are. Well, hello, Susan Bryant. Can y'all do an active shooter kit? I'm thinking a Minuteman bag with room for 3 mags. So the Minuteman bag works great as an active shooter kit. Unfortunately, it's out of stock right now because Brother Cody at Sojourn Gear is so busy producing kits for us, he can't keep up. 511 makes a bag. They make 2 of them. One's called the 2-banger, and the other's called a 4-banger. I have a 4-banger, and I like it a lot. It's a good bag. Additionally, Refuge Medical We make what's called the MAC, which is the mass casualty kit. We make a MAC 4 and a MAC 8. And the MAC 4 is the size of like a day pack, and it's designed to treat 4 to 8 casualties in a mass casualty incident. The MAC 8 is designed to treat 8 to 16 casualties in a mass casualty incident, and it's in a 72-hour bag. It's a big backpack. It's the same size bag as the Stomp bag. It's just a SEAL Team Operational Medical Pack bag. It's like a hospital on your back. So we have both of those. We also have the Combat Lifesaver Kit, which is the same MOLLE compatible bag that the Adventure Kit comes in, but it's basically chest seals, tourniquets, pressure bandages, wound packing gauze, hemostatics, decompression needles, eye shields, gauze, tape, gloves, disinfectant. It's a CLS bag. And so we have that as well, and that's actually built to the exacting specifications of the United States Marine Corps. You've got abdominal bandages, the whole nine, splinting. Yeah, it's the exact specification that the USMC requires for a CLS bag is what you'll find in our bag, except that our actual bag is made in America, not made overseas by some communist. So, true. Actually, even made here in America, we don't employ communists either. So
True.
So we do, from a medical standpoint, have that. And then I'm really encouraging as many of y'all as you can, get the bleeding control kits, please. They're like $57, and if you use promo code teacher, you get 10 bucks off. And that's about all the headroom I have in that I can still sell those and operate the business. It takes all the profit out of that kit, and I don't care. That has a pressure bandage, a Cat Gen 7 tourniquet, 2 packages of wound packing gauze, 2 pairs of gloves, a set of shears, tape, and a just-in-time instruction card and a Sharpie in it, all in a vacuum sealed bag that'll fit in the top drawer of your desk at work or at school, or in the glove box of your truck, or in your school bus, or hanging on the wall next to the fire extinguisher, or on your forklift, or on the warehouse floor, or in the wood shop, or in the trailer, or the job site trailer. Like, they'll go anywhere. They're 57 bucks, and you can get them for 47 bucks with the promo code teacher. And that's because I want as many teachers, as many educators as possible to have those things, that, y'all forbid, if we continue to have mass casualty incidents in schools, at least we have the equipment to know how we have the equipment to solve problems. It is a statistical fact that appropriately timed medical intervention saves lives. We learned this after the Virginia Tech shooting. A lot of people died that didn't need to die, because most people have this concept that when the police get there, it'll be okay. Now, we know from Uvalde that's not the fact, because the people in Uvalde didn't do their job. And that was a major mistake. But even in Virginia Tech, where the police officers went in and they were doing their job, the police officer's job first and foremost is to eliminate the threat. And this is where we get into TCCC, or Tactical Combat Casualty Care. That is a hot zone. Rounds are still being fired. And until law enforcement takes that hot zone to a warm zone, EMS can't come in. They don't come in until law enforcement has secured the scene and then called them in. And so the police will literally step over a bleeding casualty to eliminate the threat first. They're not going to stop and render aid. That's because they have to maintain their own security and deal with the shooter first. And so in that instance where we're in a hot zone, bullets are still flying, per TCCC, that phase right there is called care under fire. And at that point, we apply tourniquets. Okay, then in a warm zone, which is tactical field care, now we're going to work the rest of the March algorithm. We're going to apply pressure dressings, use hemostatics and press gauze for wound packing, address airways, respiratory issues, check for circulation, prep the rest of our medical kit, call for Casevac and Medevac, start communicating, start prepping casualties to move to casualties. Then we check for head injury, we insulate against hypothermia, and we recheck the casualty. Everything else, E for everything else. We make sure that our medical interventions, dealing with critical bleeds with tourniquets and wound packing, that's holding, that we don't need to apply a second tourniquet. We don't need to use more gauze. We check for secondary wounds because we got one wound, but we may have missed another. We do all of that during the tactical field care phase. And then the third phase is casevac or medevac, and the primary difference between the two of those being casevac is a way to move the casualty off the X to a higher level of care that doesn't have a medical professional with it. Just a minivan, a school bus, a pickup truck, a four-wheeler. Medevac is a way to move the casualty off the X to a higher level of care that does have medical professionals. This would be, in the military, this is a 9-line. In civilian setting, this is an ambulance or a care flight or something to that effect. But in those instances, when bad stuff happens to good people in a closed setting where we have the potential for a mass casualty incident, I want as many people as possible to have as many kits as possible to save as many lives as possible. And so that's why you're essentially getting that kit at my cost. And that's why I just shot an 8-part series on TCCC, Stop the Bleed, and the March algorithm that I'm giving to you for free on YouTube so that you'll at least have the information. And do not misunderstand that information for instruction, because it's not instruction, it's information. But at least give you the information to hopefully be able to render aid, buy somebody time so that they don't bleed out and die. So, what's the difference between a bleeding control kit and an MFAC? I don't know what the MFAC is, so I don't know. I have a sealed STB kit. Should I pre-open it for speed or leave it sealed for sanitation? So that's a good question. I would pre-open it. I would take the tourniquet out of the plastic and stage the tourniquet at a minimum. And when it comes to sanitation, what you have to understand is immediately when we elevate to a higher level of care, immediately they're going to run broad spectrum antibiotics. Because if you have to use that stuff, there's already been a foreign body inside of that person's body. There's already been a bullet. There's already been a piece of rebar that punctured their pleural space. Something has already happened that's broken the largest organ that you have, the skin. There's already been an intrusion there, and so it's SOP, standard operating practice, that we're going to immediately run broad spectrum antibiotics to deal with that fact. And so, yes, sanitation is a thing, but I would 100% open the package, take the tourniquet out of the package, and pre-stage the tourniquet so that it's ready to go. Because if we need a tourniquet, we need it right now, and we want to waste as little time as possible deploying the tourniquet. NA Rescue .com. Products with a purpose. MFAC. Loading. Mini first aid kit. It contains, where's contents and specs? It says a cat, a flat responder, wound packing gauze, a set of high fins, and a pair of gloves. Okay, so the difference between the MFAC and the bleeding control kit is the bleeding control kit comes with a full-size pressure bandage, not a 4-inch flat pressure bandage. Although I love the 4-inch flat pressure bandages, don't get me wrong, they're a great product. And the bleeding control kit comes with 2 packages of gauze. The MFAC only comes with 1. The bleeding control kit comes with shears and 2 pairs of gloves. The MFAC does not come with shears, but it does come with gloves. But the MFAC comes with compact chest seals, and the bleeding control kit does not come with chest seals. Although, if you add tape to the MFAC, or add tape to the bleeding control kit, and you use the packaging that comes with the bleeding control kit, you can pretty expediently make a non-vented occlusive dressing, aka a non-vented chest seal. And actually, in episode 4 of the videos that I have coming out, which is airway and respiratory, I show you how to do that with tape and any piece of plastic. I actually used the package from the package of chest seals to show you how to make a non-vented chest seal with 3 pieces of tape. So the main difference between the MFAC and the bleeding control kit is the MFAC comes in a Chinese-made nylon pouch and includes a pair of compact hyphen chest seals, versus the bleeding control kit comes in a vacuum-sealed bag and is $40 cheaper
Right.
and comes with more gauze and more gloves and a set of shoes.
There you go.
So, and the bleeding control kit is in stock at refugemedical.com.
So that's something like, I don't know if we've talked about it, but like we've pivoted and like if we have it on the store, it's in stock.
Yeah, it's under our roof.
Yeah.
Not
like,
it's coming on the
in
truck.
stock,
Yeah.
in the warehouse, ready to ship. It took a lot to pivot to that, as opposed to like ordering what we've sold. We now have the inventory to sell what you order.
I want to talk about that for a minute because I think the perception. So I'm the CEO and founder of Refuge Medical. I don't draw a paycheck from Refuge Medical. I am an influencer for Refuge Medical, and I make a small percentage of sales from that. That's it. I don't draw a salary. I don't extract capital from Refuge Medical. And so, that being said, we took, because the executive team, the leadership team was 100% on board and was pushing this concept. We took the war chest of money that we had at Refuge Medical and we spent it all of it on inventory. And so we have inventory under roof, and if it's under roof, if I can put my hand on it, it's in stock. And so when we show that it's in stock, we physically have it in the store. And so that's helped our fulfillment times quite a bit, and it has also relieved a lot of stress that I don't want to sell you a product that's supposed to be coming on the truck and then find out, oh, it's been delayed 60 days because of supply chain. And so we don't do that. We're not doing that. If it shows in stock at the store, it's under the roof. We have it in stock and we'll ship it to you the next day, unless that next day is Shabbat, in which case we'll get you on Monday.
Right.
So, but great point.
Yeah.
If it says in stock, it's in stock. We have it. And Refuge Medical doesn't exist to make me rich. That's not why we do this. The mission statement for Refuge Medical is to save lives while in service to the Father's kingdom and experiencing the abundance of His provision and blessing. So that's what we're about. And praise Yah, we've saved 42 lives to date. Just found out about life 42 last night. Motorcycle injury with a broken spine. Gentleman with a crash kit was able to provide, smash kit, was able to provide medical intervention, stabilize the spine, call 911, get him EMS on site. Otherwise, this lady would have just been laying in the bushes with a broken spine, bleeding out. That's not nothing. 42 lives, and 2 years ago we were working out of my barn an hour a week, and now we're under an 8,000 square foot roof, serving 4 continents and saving people's lives. That's absolutely badass. Yeah, praise Yah indeed. It's absolutely badass. So that's what we're about. So I don't, and nothing I do, I guess shifting gears into business, nothing I do makes a whole bunch of money. But if I take a little bit from here, a little bit from YouTube, and a little bit from Patreon, and a little bit of, sales commission from Refuge Medical, and a little bit from consulting, and a little bit from this, and a little bit from that, and I put it all together, like, praise Yah, we make a living. But it's not my primary motivator, if that makes sense. It's not my goal to build Refuge Medical into a multi-million-dollar international conglomerate and then sell it. Immersive soundboard, you like that? Yeah, the audio-visual team is doing great tonight. The green screen's a little dull tonight, but the guy on the mixing board is killing it with the sound effects. So,
Country life, man.
yeah.
I'd much rather listen to this than police and
Traffic.
ambulance and
Oh, yeah.
traffic driving by in the middle of the night. Like, this is music to my ears.
Hello from Vermont. Hello from not Vermont. I think there are some feral weasels behind you. Sucks to be them. Because I am
I don't know
within.
if we've got weasels. I don't know if I've ever seen a weasel.
I've seen a weasel.
You have? They don't mess with the chickens though. Like,
I haven't seen a weasel here.
yeah, I haven't
I've seen
a
weasels
weasel here.
before. I killed a bunch of them in upstate New York. So, but yeah, it would suck to be a feral weasel. I am 0.0 meters from a whole bunch of 147 grain jacketed hollow points right now, and I'm 2 meters from 55 grain, 60 rounds, and a weapons light. So, feral weasel is a bad occupation to have on the homestead. You're a lead magnet. Bear, why did I get timed out? Do you not believe in freedom of speech? So I didn't, GKT11, I didn't see what you said, and I didn't time you out. And so...
It might have been one of the mods, so like, sometimes when you say something, it doesn't necessarily like come across the right way. Like, our mods do their best job to like interpret, because there's a lot of like side conversations going on. There's just a lot of like hit and miss comments made. So mistakes happen. If you were like within the lines, it was probably just somebody didn't understand what you were saying and they thought it was offensive or something. Timed out.
Bless you, sober party. Bible study request, Book of Daniel. Hey, so we're in Isaiah right now. When we finish Isaiah, we'll go to Jeremiah. When we finish Jeremiah, we'll go to Ezekiel, I think, and we'll get
Just
there.
keeps going.
I
Yeah.
just read the book, do what it says. We're just reading in order. We started in Genesis 1, chapter 1. In the beginning, Elohim created the heavens and the earth. And Matthew chapter 1, verse 1, this is the genealogy of Yeshua Messiah. And we've just been working our way forward from there.
Is there a direct relationship between a woman's appearance and the level of luxury she's living in?
Nope.
No, I don't believe so at all. Like, I would 9 times out of 10, I literally look like I just woke out of bed.
Facts.
Facts. Like,
I'm going to go pee while you
Yeah.
pontificate on this.
I mean, Patreon, y'all have seen me, like, in my house coat, hair all disheveled, like,
90% of your Patreon videos are in your house.
that's me. But like, I can get dolled up for my man when it's date night, and you know, be a knockout for him.
Oh, yeah.
And we do not live in any kind of type of luxury. Like, I think it's more of what your perception of beauty is than the lifestyle that you're living. Because I know a ton of drop dead gorgeous females that wear no makeup, you know, wear baggy clothes, dirt under their nails, like, it's just the way of life. And I've met a lot of really, like, uppity, beautiful females that are absolute bitches. And
Oh, here we go with the
spoiled
language.
brats,
Watch
like-
out, sweetie. Well, and so I was going to say, I think on a lot of levels, there's also posturing and fakery with that,
yeah,
where people want to appear luxurious, so they dress and act a certain way, when really they're living, they're living way above their means. And the people that I've met that are really truly wealthy, I have a mentor. I have several mentors. By the way, just life advice: find people who are smarter than you and better than you at the things you want to be good at. What's up, Stumps?
You're just speaking of us, right?
And yeah, I drove over you with a 4-wheeler earlier. Sorry about that. But I have a mentor in North Texas who, this guy has a real estate portfolio that before COVID, when with these massive inflationary rates on land and land speculation, before COVID, was worth hundreds of millions of dollars, who wears old jeans and old t-shirts and 10-year-old sneakers, and was driving at the time 2006 beat to shit F-150. And this guy probably has more wealth amassed than all of us on this live stream put together, and you would never know it by talking to him. You'd never know it. And those are the people that, when I've met people like that in my life, that are humble and they're kind and they have real wealth, they don't need to put on a show for anybody. And they don't. They don't have to fake it. They don't have to pretend. And I think so much of real wealth, because like, you know, Yeshua said, I come to give life and life abundantly. And then, you know, you have this health, wealth, prosperity gospel, right? No, so much of wealth is like loving you, loving the people that you're around, loving the situations that you're in. Like that's real wealth. That's real value. And when you find a lot of people that are chasing that dollar, trying to amass physical wealth, and I'm a capitalist. I'm an unapologetic capitalist. But when you're chasing that dollar, sooner or later you get to the point, once you start figuring it out, like when you're making money and you're doing good, you realize all of a sudden it's not about the shiny objects that you were chasing. That's not the wealth. That's not the joy. That's not, there's no value in that. And there's only so much crap you can buy to try and fill that God-shaped hole. And sooner or later you realize it don't work.
Money does not make you happy. Absolutely does not. Like, if anything, it's going to add more problems, more strife to what you already experience. It is not the gateway to happiness.
I have earned and spent millions of dollars of my own money in my life. I've built successful businesses. I've done awesome things. I've accomplished a whole lot by worldly standards. And when I was like really at the top of my game doing really big business stuff and making a killing, I was miserable. I was a miserable, angry, pessimistic human being. I would fight you at the drop of a hat. I had no love in my heart for myself or for anybody else. I didn't talk to people. I didn't want to know people. I was miserable. That fan's got to go off. I'm like shivering.
Are you?
Yeah. Yeah, it got chilly. Shine's in a hoodie.
I'm always in a hoodie though.
That's true.
So...
You are always in a hoodie. That's not really an
Might get
indicator.
attacked by the gnats.
If Ellie's wearing pants, it's an indicator. But if you're in a hoodie, not so much. So, President Trump says that poverty was created to punish the unattractive. Whatever you say, homie. Okay.
If that's what you want to believe, go for it.
Money
Those
doesn't
poor
make you happy.
Well,
unattractive
Yeshua. So here's the thing.
Right.
Trump is not the Messiah, but Yeshua is, and Yeshua said the poor will be with you always. And as it turns out, there's a Torah for let none amongst you be poor. Make sure that your brothers and sisters, the people to the left and the right of you, goats for sure, not pigs. Read Leviticus 11. The people to the left and the right of you have their worldly needs met. Like, take care of your brother, take care of your sister, love your neighbor as yourself. And a lot of what the government does under the guise of federal and state charity should really be done at the community level by individuals and church organizations within the community. How did you guys meet?
You want to tell them?
Oh yes.
Oh,
let's
we'll
hear
talk
the
over
story
each other.
first.
Go on.
Seventh time.
We met online on a dating site,
Mm-hmm.
and we were a few hours away from each other, and we emailed back and forth several times. I had been praying over the right person for me, and one of the big things that I had asked for was somebody that would communicate with me, that enjoyed communicating with me.
And y'all, I did not talk at this time.
No.
So you need to thank her
Apparently.
and Ya, because I
I've
didn't
never
say
known
anything
the
to
non-talker
anybody.
too.
That's true.
But so I wrote him like a little paragraph and sent it, and he emailed me back, and it was like
Lovebucket.com.
You emailed?
Buy that
yeah, we
domain.
emailed
Oh my
back.
gosh.
Lovebucket.com. You
Well,
preppers,
it's
you
a
put all
random guy on the
you
internet.
put
I'm
all
not
kinds
gonna give him my phone number.
you put all kinds of things in buckets. Maybe love. Come to lovebucket.com. Food grade, Mylar, Diatomaceous Earth, O-ring seal. Lovebucket.com.
So anyway, so he wrote me back like, I mean, email form, it was like probably 2 pages. And I was like, wow, okay, this guy can actually talk. And
Which, if you've ever gotten an email from me, you know that this is extremely rare.
yeah,
I'm a 3-word to 1-sentence emailer.
yeah.
Well, your 3 words or 2 million.
Pages.
Right.
Like,
All
yeah,
the
you have
pages.
3 words or 2 million words.
Yeah, I heard of a book you
Fair
wrote.
enough.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a
High
book we
school.
heard about last night.
Yeah, well, that was on the Vietnam War, not love. But go ahead.
So yeah, so we emailed back and forth a couple of times, and then I figured I, trusted that he wasn't a random internet serial killer, and we exchanged phone numbers, and we talked for like 2 weeks, I think, 2 or 3 weeks.
3 to 4 hours a day. For
Yeah,
2
like
weeks.
after work, because I was doing construction, and he was doing wind turbines. So, when we got done with our day, we'd get on the phone and we'd talk for, 4 or 5 hours, like into the wee hours, to where we're like, okay, like I gotta go to sleep, I gotta wake up at 5 a.m. and it's like 3
That
a.m.
you love when you're like, no, you hang
Yeah,
out.
Right, yeah, let's just
You
fall
hang
asleep
out.
on the phone together.
that happened
Yeah.
a few times.
And then my mom was having a cookout, big family barbecue, and I was like, I really want to invite this guy, and she said, we'll go ahead and invite him. Like, we'll see what kind of guy he is. If he shows up to the family barbecue, he's never met you, let alone anybody else. So I invited him, and he was like, what do you want me to bring? And I was like, how about some Shiner? And
It's like, copy. She's a keeper.
he came, and like as soon as I
I
saw him,
I met everybody.
yeah,
I met the kids. I met grandma. I met the uncles. I met great
the
grandma.
mom,
I
yeah,
met
everybody.
everybody. And
First time.
I literally remember, so it was a total y'all moment. I literally remember the first time I saw my wife. I could tell you where she was standing, where the sun was at, what direction the wind was blowing, how high the flag was on the flagpole behind the house, where everybody else was standing, what she was wearing. Time stopped. And I just knew. I was like, yep, that's the one. And so we hung out till midnight that night, and then
And my mom kicked him out.
her mom came down because she was staying with her mom at the time. Her mom came down. She said, "Hey, you seem like a real nice guy, but it's time for you to go." Like, yes, ma'am. Roger that. And so we went out front. She walked me to my truck. We did a little making out, and I left. And then I left, and then I banged a Yui, and I came back, got back out of the truck. We did a little bit more making out, and I drove home. And then 9 days later, I said, "Hey, this might sound crazy, but I'm in love with you." And she said, "Oh, thank God, I'm in love with you too." And I said, "Copy that. You want to do life together?" And she was like, "Yeah, let's do life together." And 30 days later, we were living together, and we've barely been apart since. So,
Yeah, up until we moved here, until like life kind of got crazy.
Yep.
3 years ago, or well, we moved here like 4 years ago, but life started getting crazy about 3 years ago. Up until then, we had literally been together 24/7.
No.
we had
Worked
spent
together.
we had spent a total of 10 days apart in 7 years.
Yeah.
For real. Like, that was a real thing. And then businesses grow, consultancies grow, ministries grow, and that has been a real challenge for us because, like I said earlier, the way we bond and the way we stay in love is by doing stuff together, and we're very much so like we need to see each other, we need to be near each other, we need to do stuff together. That's how we maintain our relationship, and so navigating those challenges where the demands on my time have gotten to the point where I have to go do these other things. Shalom, J. Johns. I have to go do these other things. That has been a challenge. So, we have 3 children, Yukon Cornelius. By the way, silver and gold, silver and gold. Did you kill that Yeti yet? What's going on with that? Love Yukon Cornelius.
But that's been something we've had to navigate now. Like, as our lives have like drastically changed, we've had to, we've had to make it more purposeful for us to spend time together because life has gotten so crazy and busy and.
Oh, show.
Hey, I don't think they've seen the lady dog.
Have they?
Hi, lady.
She's not there. Yeah.
I named her. Shine named her, everybody.
Hi, lady. This is our newest one.
Mm-hmm.
I know. He's a good girl.
So, that's how we met. Totally a Yah thing.
Yeah.
Praise Yah. I didn't talk to people. Somebody asked earlier, why didn't you talk to people?
He hated people.
I mean, the short answer to that, because it's a long answer, but the best short answer I can give is I was an angry, violent human being, that I had a lot of trauma earlier in life, and I was carrying that around, and I did not love myself, let alone love anybody else. And I've always been a very mission-oriented person, and I had a very high-stress, high-value job, doing very important things, and I didn't have time for other people. I didn't care about emotions, whether it was other people's emotions or my own. I just didn't care, and I, to my detriment, stuffed all of that down in the hurt locker and wrapped as many chains and steel cables around it as I could. And praise the Father, I've done the work that I need to do to deal with those things. And a big part of that was meeting my wife and learning how to talk to people again, and just having somebody that I could be honest with. And we had to learn how to talk to each other as well, like about the really important things. And see, that's the thing with your rib, with your better half, right? Your wise counsel. There's not a person on the face of the earth that knows how to hurt me better than her. And there's not a person on the face of the earth that knows how to hurt her better than I do. Because we know all of each other's secrets. We know everything. And so, out of a deep respect for one another, you have to be good. Like, you have to be good to one another, even if you're having one of those days where it's like, I love you, but I don't like you very much right now, you know? Like, that still doesn't give you permission to be nasty to one another. So.
True.
And it's
26 years later, we can do the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I know where all the buttons to the nuclear weapons are in our relationship. And so does she.
Yeah.
And if you get to the point where you're both hovering over the red button looking at each other, you probably need to fix the underlying situation. And it's tough. It's tough. But
step outside.
Step out. Well, for us, it's very much so fighters to your corners. It's like, I need to go get some yonder so that I can think about how we're going to talk about this in a way that's not going to damage our relationship. Because we need to talk about it. We need to work it out. But if I talk about it right now, the only thing I'm going to know how to do is say things that are going to make it worse.
Yeah. We had a fighters go to your corners this morning, and then neither one of us could focus, and he was like, time to step outside.
Praise
we stepped
Yah.
outside, about 2 minutes later, we came back in, like, we're good.
Praise Yah.
We've done the, sometimes you gotta still come back.
Yeah.
It's like
Oh,
you
yeah.
got-
Yeah,
you
you
do the
gotta
little
come back
dance.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
yeah,
the
just,
little dance. There you go.
Yep.
And then you go, okay, let's put it
Yeah, you need the guy with the water bottle and the guy
Yeah.
with the sponge, right? And the cut man. It's like, oh, that's a nasty one.
And you
Hold
gotta
on, I'll
let the
get that.
adrenaline roll off a
Yeah.
little. Like, sometimes
Yeah.
you're just in that fight or flight, like
Well,
literally I'm going
and-
to fight you.
And that's the other thing for me. One of the things I've learned over the years with all the experiences that I've had and the traumas that I've experienced, my flight is broken. I just have fight. I had to learn flight to create space because space and time are like they're enmeshed, right? Like they're the same thing. Distance and time are the same thing. I had to learn to create distance to buy the time to let the fight wear off so that I can have a conversation. That was really important for me, and because I have the capacity to go to fight that quick. Y'all have seen it.
Yeah.
That quick. Like, oh, you want to mess with my people? You hit the red button. Cool. You have one missile. I have 942 of them and friends. You know, and so it's really good to not press the red button. So
No red button pushing.
no red button.
And you gotta walk away from the red button for a little bit.
Yes, so step away from the console with all the buttons on it. You know, that's the thing. So I know people are saying all they can hear is the frogs.
Yeah,
Yes.
the frogs are really loud.
they are.
They're probably in the pool.
Yeah, they're
No-
not.
no
I
frogs
left
in the
the
pool?
pool out today.
I think they're yelling because they're about to get eaten.
They're yelling because they're about to get eaten. Who's gonna eat the frogs?
The snakes.
The killer dog.
Mama.
Yes.
Well, that was a nice feat.
Husband. Where are you going?
How dare you?
I'm sorry.
Somebody said make lasagna.
Not just
Angry,
that.
angry lasagna making.
Wow, people. Children ears over
It's
here.
difficult to preheat the oven
Yeah.
when everybody's pissed. So, business idea: sell frogs for
Delight's been around
gigging.
for a while,
Eh,
'cause that price
they're
has come
unclean. I
up
really don't want to
Nope.
mess
for
with
like
them.
a year.
That's an old timer. Who knows about those
Vacuuming out the truck. This old man has a date this weekend. Good job, David
Nice.
Carter.
Good job.
Good job, man. What's up, Revolver on the road?
Yeah.
We have a date too. Next
Yeah.
week.
We do.
We got a date tomorrow.
Frog lasagna. No, not doing that.
That's bestiality.
That is, thank you. Good job, 15-year-old.
You're welcome.
Maybe you sit next to that Bible all these years. Something snuck in there. Osmosis.
Or the
556 or 308 for SHTF. Met TC, bro. Mission, enemy, time, terrain. Considerate or civilian considerations.
Well,
Depends. Depends on what we're doing. Really, what's the mission and who's the enemy? That's the question.
But if you only have one or the other,
whoa.
they both work.
Yeah, that's a good point, Bo. If you only have one or the other, they both work fine. I have both. I'm well served with both. My go-to is 556.
I took the
My longest
money.
shots are 250 yards.
I took the money.
It's just what it is. That being said, I really enjoy shooting long range. We went to that primary arms range day outside of Houston, and they had a 1,000-meter range. I had a blast shooting somebody else's precision ammo, somebody else's $12,000 rifle. It was awesome. They had some beautiful firearms there, absolutely beautiful firearms, and on the long range. Everything on the short ranges was just standard fare, but on the long range they had some really nice stuff. A couple of precision AR-10s chambered in 6.5 Creedmoor, one chambered in 30-06, which I did not care for. It was not accurate, and there was more recoil than there needed to be. Then a 308. Oh gosh, the Arctic Warfare Rifle bolt gun. What is it? Precision Accuracy International. Beautiful rifle, and they had the freaking Hubble telescope bolted to the top of that thing, shooting Sierra Match King 175 grains. That gun is a sweet gun.
So was it all PA guns, or was it other vendors?
So there
guns
were
too?
other vendors' guns with primary arms optics on them, and the 6.5 Creedmoor that Gregos Precision had, they had an AR-10 and 6.5 Creedmoor with a primary arms 6-30 with the Athena reticle in it. That gun was a laser beam. I shot 5 rounds in 5 seconds at 400 meters and shot a 5-inch group with it. And the guy was like, he goes, yeah, it's zeroed at 400. I was like, cool. I was, where's 400? He goes, it's just to the right of the windsock. I'm like, okay. So I was like, it's at zeroed at 4. He goes, yep, zeroed at 4. So well, let's check that zero. Boom, ting, boom, ting, boom, ting, boom, ting, boom, ting. He goes, yeah, it's on. I was like, okay, cool. He goes, yeah, you shot like a 5-inch group on that plate. I'm like, great gun. It's awesome. I was like, let's go to 5, then to 6, then to 7, then to 8, then to 1,000. And he's like, man, you're doing a good job shooting. I'm like, you're doing a good job spotting. Like, if the spotter's doing his job, the shooter's just the monkey on the gun, right? Like, get a good sight picture, get a good trigger press, let's go. And so that gun was awesome, and the Accuracy International in 308 was really good too. And they had a couple of really good spotters. The dude was like, hey, at 1,000, you need to hold like 10.6 mils. And I'm like, well, I don't know, because there's a headwind. What about like, you know, oh no, he's like, you need to hold 10.3, and I'm like, I don't know, there's a headwind, what about like 10.6? And he's like, yeah, let's try that. He's like, well, I got a hash mark at 10.5, so hold 10.5, squeeze the trigger, 308 at 1,000, boom, ting. I mean, just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I love that stuff. I really do enjoy it, because there's an element of challenge to it. But around here where we are, because we're in the foothills of the Ozarks, the mountains here, there's very rarely a shot that's more than 300, maybe 400 yards.
Yeah.
And in our immediate area, all the properties around us and the property that we're on, the longest shot's 250 yards. And so like a 5.56 with a 1-8 on it handles all of those problems real well. The only thing that a 1-8, a low power variable optic, doesn't do well is work well with nods, green-eyed ghoulie boy stuff. It doesn't do that well. But that's why you have dot sight rifles, because they do those really well. Or an EOTech does that really well. But for daytime ops or nighttime with a white light, 1-8 just kills it. Or even a 1-6 kills it. So, last try. Buy Skin So Soft from Avon. Repels bugs.
It does work. Good stuff.
Okay, I grew up next to a swamp. It works. Roger that, Nels. Appreciate that. The Ultimate Sniper and Advanced Training Manual for Military Stuff by John. Oh, so Colonel John Plaster was the shit. Good dude right there. West Virginia is a great 5.56 state. I agree, man. I did a big job for Allegheny Power in West Virginia. We ran power from Mount Storm, West Virginia. There's a coal plant there, and there's 1,000 1.5 megawatt wind turbines up there. And we did an overhaul on the coal plant, installed the wind turbines, and then ran 176 miles of high line from Mount Storm, West Virginia into DC. Through West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and into DC. and Western West Virginia is absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. But man, it's one of those places where I can see where I want to go on that mountain over there. And they're like, yep, you can't get here from there. Or you can't get there from here. I'm like, what do you mean? And driving through the hollers and over the creeks and all that, and it'll take you an hour in a vehicle to drive from where you are to over there where you can see it, because it's up, down, all over the place. And that was the first place that I became intimately aware of mountaintop removal for coal mining, and I hate that. Like, I am not Mr. Super Environmental Protection guy, but I hate mountaintop removal for coal mining. It just sucks. Shalom, Tony John.
What's up, Tony?
Somebody said, Bear, what's your favorite precision weapon? It depends, but that I own the Gen 2 Palmetto 20-inch FN heavy barrel AR-10 that I have in 308 that's got a 6.2 24 primary arms on top of it, the SLX 6-24, and I believe it's the Athena reticle that it has in it. It's a phenomenal weapon. It's absolutely awesome. And that I've got some Federal Gold Medal Match Sierra Match King 175 grain. That's the Federal brand, and I've got some Mark 118 LR, the precision rifle or precision round from 308, and that gun will shoot that sub MOA at 100, which is absolutely beautiful. But it'll also shoot 1 MOA, the 168 grain hollow point boat tail 168 grain Privy Partisan match, which is like 40% the cost of the precision ammo of the Federal. The Federal is like $2.50 a squeeze right now. I bought a bunch of that Privy 168 grain at $1 a round, and it'll shoot that 1 MOA. It'll eat it all day. And
No issues with those at all?
No, it loves it. But conversely, my bolt gun doesn't like the Privy. It shoots the Privy into a 3 to 4 inch group from a bench rest, but you put the match ammo in it, back down to 1 MOA. Jalen Mason, thank you so much. Bless you. Thank you. Greek Homestead, good morning. 5:50 a.m. here. Well, good morning to you. Get some coffee. It's nighttime here. The frogs are out. Or whatever you do over there in Greece. But that M118 LR is awesome. Yes, different twist rates, that's correct. But even M80 ball, 147 grain FMJ, both of those rifles do well. And they do well with the M80 ball. But the Palmetto shoots that 147 to 150 grain load. It shoots it 1.25 inches, no problem. And I like 308. I know 308 at 1,000 is like shooting a rainbow. And 6.5 Creedmoor is an awesome round. I just really don't want to get into another round right now. I'm really not interested. If I'm going to spend $2, $2.50 a round, I want to buy more Federal Gold Medal Match for the rifles I already have than build another rifle for a couple $3,000 and then have to spend $2 to $3 a round for the ammo to feed it. I mean, you're talking, if you're going to get 500 rounds of ammo and build a rifle, you're somewhere in the neighborhood of $3,000 to $5,000 right there. For what? 308 at 1,000 is practically indirect fire. I disagree, Austin. I've hit man-sized targets reliably and repeatedly at 1,000 with 308 over and over and over again. I was just talking about doing that. So, does the 6.5 get to 1,000 better with a flatter trajectory? Yes, it does. Can 308 be shot at 1,000 with the right loading? Absolutely. You get a heavy enough bullet, it's not going to go transonic until 1,100. So, and once it goes transonic, your accuracy is going to go to shit. But before it goes transonic, it's still getting there. And with those 175 grain bullets, 180 grain bullets, high BC bullets, it's doing a good job when it gets there. So, is it the perfect solution? Absolutely not. But it is a solution. Yeah, Carlos Hathcock had many a kill with a standard M1A at 1K. Thank you, Thomas Jefferson. I agree. By the way, I appreciate all that stuff you did when you founded the country. Good work. It's transonic, but I identifies as subs. That's funny. I mean, it's a lot like 300 blackout. People ask all the time, Bear, how come you don't have 300 blackout? What do I need it for? I don't. I don't want an effective range of 225 yards. So stay survive. 7mm Rem mag for the win. That is probably my favorite Magnum caliber for sure. 7mm Remington Magnum. I love that round. Absolutely love that round. .6 took me out many a Nazi. I agree. If I'm going to shoot an .6, I don't want to shoot it out of that AR-10 platform that I shot at the Primary Arms event. That thing, for whatever reason, the recoil was jarring on that. It was, and it had like a little, the gun was too light. It had a little Magpul CTR stock on the back of it, and it just beat you up. It was not enjoyable to shoot. And it used the Accuracy International magazines, you know, the 30-06 pattern Accuracy International magazines, which are like $110 a magazine. Hell no. I'm good. Thank you. $10 minutes?
No, it is 10.
Oh, it's 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. It's almost 10. Well, I was thinking about 10 more minutes anyway, so. What's up, Trooper Uno?
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, dude. So the Remington 7mm Rem Mag is a beautiful round. I love that round. Absolutely love it. It's 10:52 here, says Pete. How do I find a non-registered hole puncher to buy and know it isn't stolen? I cannot offer that advice to you. Good night, folks. Good night, Romans 12:18. I've seen 2,000 yards from YouTube from a 7 mag. Absolutely. The 7 mag is an awesome round. I love that round. Barrel life is going to be an issue if you shoot a lot, but most people don't shoot a lot, especially with the way ammo is priced right now. You can buy surplus 50 cal for the same price as good 7 mag ammo right now. That's not an exaggeration. Palmetto has had on several occasions 100-round belts of 50 cal ammo for $300. That's $3 a round. That's what 7 mag costs. So, you know, you can get a bolt action 50 cal for not much more than you can get a 7 mag bolt action for. That being said, I'd rather shoot 7 mag than 50 cal out of a bolt action. So. Damn, man, 150,000 followers. I remember getting in at 30K. It's been a while now. Congrats. Hey, Patrick Martin, I appreciate you bringing it up. I haven't brought it up. I think it's a cool accomplishment, but it's, you know, not how I define my life. But, yeah, we hit 150K a couple days ago. So I think that's pretty cool. And I'm constantly having to remind myself, it's something we talk about a lot with the leadership at the business. It's like, damn, we're not a little channel anymore. Like, there's 150,000 people at this channel. That's like a major city.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, that's a major city. 150. It's not like a tier 1, level 1 city. It's not New York or LA, but New York and LA have a lot of damn problems. But it's Little Rock, Arkansas. You know? That's not nothing.
People just want you to leave the camera on all night so they can listen to the frogs.
While they sleep.
Long live Fredville. Chris Haynes knows what's up. What's up, Chris? Long live Fredville, established 2018. 2019? No, 2019 Fredville was established. That was a great video. I have to find that video again. 100K by 4 day was a good goal. You remember that, Oklahoma? Yeah, that was a good one. 2019. Thank you, Big Cast. Sorry, but you're liked. Well, apparently. I guess we're doing something right. Which, by the way, let's talk about that for just a hot minute. Guys, this entire channel has been built upon conviction wisdom from life experience, and a sideways iPhone. And so if you feel like you have something that you need to say to people, if the Father has convicted you that you need to be out there talking to people and mentoring people, I don't have any fancy equipment. My lighting is being provided by an LED bulb on the back porch right now. I literally just have a sideways iPhone on a $20 Amazon tripod. Thank you, Forrest. That's a little much. It's a little.
Stays right. Stays
So,
right.
listen, the crew isn't always well trained, but we do the best that we can. But we've always worn it as a badge of honor here. Best information, worst production quality. Awesome. I'm not trying to gain followers. I'm not trying to gain followers, period. But I'm definitely not trying to gain followers because you like my production quality. What's up, Survival Savage? I'm trying to get people's attention with the quality of the information that we bring. And so the barrier to entry for you, if you have something to say, is like a $20 tripod because you very likely already have a cell phone. And you just start talking. My earliest videos were terrible. They were really bad. They were so bad that my wife had to pull me aside and be like, hey babe, I love you, but these are bad. You need to just be you.
You want to talk her?
Yeah, that's true. I was still learning how to talk. So just if you want to start a channel, start a channel. Start talking. Talk to the people. Say your piece. And your vibe attracts your tribe, right? And so the more you say your piece, the more you get your message out there, and the more value that you can provide, the more people will flock to you, and the more influence you'll be able to bring. And the whole point of this channel, somebody got them before me. Good job. Good job, Bug Out Bob. Man, you got fast thumbs.
I hit it.
Yeah, Hami got you afterwards. The whole point of this channel is not to make followers. It's to make leaders. You know, we hear all the time from people, if I could just get to bear camp. No, that's the wrong goal. Make bear camp where you are. Do bear stuff where you are. Lead your community, lead your family, study your Bible, stack your food, raise your animals, love on your children, do your stuff. Do y'all stuff where you are. Don't try and be me. Just try and be the best version of you that you can be. I want leaders. I want 150,000 leaders, not 150,000 followers. That's exactly right, Bob White. That's why it's called independent, correct. Mm-hmm. So Irene, the reason this channel is called Bear Independent is because my wife helped me with the branding on that. Because we were talking about one day driving in the car. Because it used to be called the Squid and Bear Show. And my buddy Squid stayed in Texas when we moved to Oklahoma, and so it couldn't be the Squid and Bear Show anymore. I said, what I really want to do is teach people how to get independent of this broken, fragile system while living to the best of our ability as independently of this broken, fragile system as possible. And so she said, well, why don't you call it Bear Independent? Because it's not Squid and Bear anymore, it's just Bear. So you're independent now, but you're also trying to show people how to be independent of the system. And I was like, yeah, that's beautiful. Let's go with that. And so again, you have a lot to thank my wife for. In fact, this channel wouldn't exist if it wasn't for her. She was the one that told me to start shooting videos. And then she was the one that told me when they were terrible so that I could get better. And then she was the one that helped me with the rebranding 4 years ago. And you're a key feature of a lot of the stuff that we do on Patreon. And you're my badass helpmate. So that's Bear Independent. Bear Independent is you need to get as independent of this broken, fragile system as possible so that when it fails, you don't fail. That's the whole point of what we're doing. And we are doing it to the best of our ability here and trying to document that for y'all to motivate you to go forth and do the things in your life. And I think that's a great place to end. We've been going for about 3 hours. I appreciate y'all greatly. I pray you have a blessed evening. I'll see you in the morning for the brief. And then it's going to be Shabbat time. So, bless y'all. Shalom.
Shalom.